sifting through the rubble of what's left of their homes in central Virginia after a tornado rocked the region south of Richmond. 4 people were killed and more than a dozen others were hurt. ABC's Philip Mena is there.
Today, authorities will be going through these piles of debris and still assessing the damage. Everyone has been accounted for, but it's just a matter of cleaning. We're talking about an area that was already, they were trying to get back on their feet economically. Before this storm hit, the police department here was operating at about half of its normal force. So it's just a devastating blow to this community.
The rescuers needed rescuing off the coast of New York this morning when a Coast Guard ship, answering a call for help from a troubled fishing vessel, flipped over. But ABC's Rob Nelson tells us all 7 Coast Guard crew members were brought safely to shore.
The Carolina Queen 3 ran aground off Rockaway Beach about 4 o'clock this morning for reasons that are still unclear. But the good news is this Coast Guard helicopter based from out of Atlantic City has been plucking these guys one by one in that basket-like device, bringing them to the beach where rescue emergency crews are meeting them.
Donald Trump responded to Mitt Romney's claim that there's a bombshell in his tax returns by tweeting, "Romney is now trying to be a tough guy after blowing an election he should have won." Trump, who has campaigned as an outsider, is now indicating his running mate might be a politician. The bad news is the flu outbreak is spiking in 13 states across the South and Southwest. But the CDC says the good news is this year's flu vaccine is 60% effective. Apple CEO Tim Cook says the private information of hundreds of millions of Americans is at stake in the company's battle with the FBI over a terrorist's iPhone. The sitcom Blackish tackled the serious topic of race in last night's episode as it depicted parents struggling to explain to their children a string of police shootings involving unarmed black men and teens. This is ABC News.
ABC Radio presents Made in America with David Muir, brought to you by Advance Auto Parts.
It's the blue and yellow can, a household staple made right here in America. WD-40.
Everybody has a can in their house.
Orlando Moreno at WD-40 headquarters in San Diego. The secret formula, nearly the same since it was invented more than 60 years ago.
It's the special phase.
CEO Gary Ridge, business doubling in the last 10 years, now sold around the country and around the world in 176 countries. This is World News Tonight's David Muir. That's Made in America.
QL1, this is Control. Does Rocket Mortgage require me to come in and speak with someone?
Negative, Control. With Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, you can go through the entire mortgage process on your own and completely online.
Copy that, QL1. But if I wanted to speak to someone, do you think they're out there?
They're out there, all right. Their award-winning client service is beyond anything I've ever experienced.
3, 2, 1.
Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Republicans are ready to rumble tonight in Houston. ABC's Jim Ryan is in the Lone Star State.
Among next week's Super Tuesday contests, the one here in Texas offers the largest share of delegates from both parties. And in a not-so-veiled reference to Donald Trump, Ted Cruz says,
"You know, the time for the circus, I believe, is ended."
Cruz appeared at a GOP fundraiser last night alongside rival Ben Carson, who talked economic policy.
$19 trillion national debt. That is absurd.
Tonight, Cruz, Carson, Trump, Marco Rubio, and John Kasich face off in debate here in Houston. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
As nominated actors head for the Hollywood red carpet for the Oscars this weekend, the odds are good. They've got lots of money in the bank. According to Forbes magazine, Jennifer Lawrence is the highest paid nominee, raking in an estimated $52 million last year, in part because of her roles in the Hunger Games movies and Joy. At 25, Lawrence has already made history by becoming the youngest ever to earn 4 nominations. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The Mason County Sheriff's Office is looking for a 14-year-old runaway from the Olympia area who's believed to be in Shelton. Tyler A. Jackson is described as 4'8" in height, weighing 65 pounds. He has blue eyes and light brown hair. Jackson has a warrant for his arrest out of Lewis County Juvenile Court. You can see a picture of him on our website, iFIBER1Newsradio.com. If anyone sees Jackson or knows of his location, you're asked to call 911. 35th District Representative Drew McEwen called into Daybreak to talk about the House leader's decision not to impeach State Auditor Troy Kelly.
You know, I could have exercised my right as a member to push it forward to a floor vote through a procedural motion, and it would have failed because you don't break on a procedural vote. It wouldn't have gotten further. It would have given me a last stand, so to speak. It would have inflamed what are already fragile relations between the House and the Senate. So begrudgingly, I chose to be a team player and not do that. And a compromise, they did this letter to Mr. Kelly once again to please resign. And I think we all know he's not going to. And,
right.
You know, he goes to trial in a couple weeks. And again, the impeachment had nothing to do with his federal charges. It had everything to do with him, frankly, abandoning the office and giving his authority to a non-elected individual. And that was the crux of it. And I believe that our case for that was strong. It had bipartisan support, but it's the way these things go.
Kelly is fighting federal charges of tax evasion, money laundering, and perjury. The next community open house for Shelton schools will focus on levies and bonds. Superintendent Dr. Alex Apostle explains more.
But we'll focus on on our bond and the needs associated with a bond if we were to run it here in the near future. And of course, we've got to run a levy, which basically takes care of our daily expenses. We're going to run that in February 2017. So just I want to give people a heads up in terms of what's coming.
The forum is this evening from 7 to 8 p.m. at Evergreen Elementary School. Dr. Apostle also shared a little bit about the next Community Pride Night coming up next month to celebrate spring sports.
On March 9th at 5:30 at the Shelton High School campus, and we have a very special event that's going to take place on that night, but we want to make sure that we have a great crowd. It's going to be a very special Community Pride Night for our spring sports athletes and our coaches. I'm very excited about the special event, and maybe some of you have heard about it, but I'm not going to reveal it publicly until maybe next Friday.
You'll hear more about that tomorrow as Dr. Apostle is on Daybreak every Friday morning at 8 to talk about things going on with the school district. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Got Kornowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corner, Nelson driving, baseline, and a two-handed throwdown dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with two hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network.
Gillis Auto Center in Shelton, a full-service dealership and growing daily. We've reorganized, including a new management team. Our new general manager, Todd Huber, has over 40 years' experience in dealership operations, including 20-plus years in Port Angeles at a large dealer group. What does this mean to you? Best deals, best price, best trade at low payments. Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, and the entire Ford lineup. Experience the all-new Gillis Auto Center in Shelton at the City Center Matlock exit and 24/7 at GillisAutoCenter.com.
Good Thursday morning to you. It's Daybreak 6:08. I'm Jeff Slinky on a Thursday morning. Darn, just said that. Checking sports for you here this morning. We're going to head to the hardwood at South Puget Sound Community College to start things out, Carol. 4 Lady Clipper players scored in double figures at South Puget Sound, knocked off Tacoma last night, 55-47. The win keeps the Clippers in the playoff hunt. In the men's game, it was a doubleheader last night. Girls were first and guys were after. Tyler Watts led the Clips with 15 as South Puget Sound knocked off Tacoma in men's basketball 78-51. South Puget Sound out-rebounded Tacoma 43-29 on their way to victory. Check out the website later today. Sports Director Sean Wells will have video highlights from both games. Elgin Cook scored 16 of his 24 points in the second half to lead number 13 Oregon to a 76-62 victory over Washington State last night. Stephen Thompson scored 18, including the game-winning three-pointer just before the buzzer, and Oregon State defeated Washington 82-81 last night. The final regular season Gonzaga game is on the radio this Saturday. Pregame at 4:40, tip-off at 5. Today at 8:15, Sean Wells will be in the studio. He's our sports director, and he's going to talk about the Sounders, playoff basketball around the region, and the Shelton High School swim coach got the Coach of the Year award, and we're going to talk with him about that and a little other winter sports recap. It's 6:10 now at iFIBER 1, and Carol's got to check at the weather forecast. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning, Jeff. It's 33, foggy, early. It's going to be mostly sunny this afternoon, high of 61. Tomorrow it's going to be about 56, but there's going to be some rain coming in later in the day. So this morning, some patchy fog for your drive-in, and then it will clear up. 33 right now.
Now, from the iFIBER 1 News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
Well, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here on a Thursday morning, and kicking things off this morning. A tragic story about a runaway that's on the front page of our website. It was also shared quite heavily on our Facebook page yesterday, facebook.com/1030KMAS. Also on the local sports page there, and local news page, we have some information about Kevin Schmelzlin, who was on the air with us a couple weeks ago, about the cleanup around his area behind his place along the railroad tracks. He went to the county commission to talk with them about some things. Jeff Chu has that story. Also on the show today, it's National Chili Day. I mean, we could just stop right there. Chili is so good. I love chili.
But there's different types of chili.
Right. It could be a little chili. It could be very chili.
Could be meatless chili.
Sure,
like
I guess.
That's traditional, original chili, or it could be American chili or
chili.
Tex-Mex
I don't even know what
chili.
that's about. Central Mason Fire.
Beanless chili, I guess is what I meant.
Yeah.
The real chili.
Is beanless?
Yes.
How's that even? I thought that was the whole point of chili. We'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
National Chili Day. Battalion Chief Steve Holloway from Central Mason Fire and EMS. So I called Assistant Chief, I think that's his title now, Mike Patty. Great guy. Mike Patty. We all know Mike Patty. And I said, hey, it's Chili Day coming up, and you guys have got that chili that you serve at Oyster Fest. So why don't you come down? You don't have to share the recipe, but we'll do a little promo spot for Central Mason Fire EMS, talk about chili, and so that's coming up at 7:50. Also, Mark Ziegler today, empty bowls. Fill those bowls with the chili, 8:45. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER 1 News Radio.
I'm Chris Jacobs with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. Combine Week kicked off Wednesday with press conferences, and Gary Kubiak reiterated that the Broncos are not placing pressure on Peyton Manning to make a retirement decision, stating, "We want him to enjoy what just took place, and we'll go from there." Detroit Lions GM Bob Quinn said there was no deadline for Calvin Johnson to make his potential retirement decision. Quinn said the team was prepared to let him take all the time he wants, even if he doesn't make that decision before free agency. We do know that Colin Kaepernick is staying put for now. Niners general manager Trent Baalke revealed that Kaepernick would absolutely be on the roster when his contract is guaranteed on April 1st. Press conferences continue today live at noon Eastern. Then tomorrow, live coverage of the 2016 NFL Scouting Combine, presented by Hyundai, starts at 9 a.m. Eastern only on NFL Network. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
QL1, does Rocket Mortgage require me to fill out a bunch of paperwork?
Negative control. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that quickly imports your financial data. You can go through the entire mortgage approval process in minutes.
That is fast, like rocket fast.
It also works on any internet-ready device, so you can get a Rocket Mortgage at any time or place you choose. Over.
3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
For over 75 years, Geico's been about consistency, as in we've consistently helped people save money on their car insurance. And to prove it, we'll air one of our first radio commercials from over 75 years ago.
At Geico, we're all about consistency, as in we consistently help people save money on their car insurance. To prove it, you can call Geico. Call us today, call us tomorrow, call us 75 years from now.
That was way more consistent than I expected. Geico, saving people money for over 75 years.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio, AMAS.
Probably should have had a. I had that up. I forgot that. Streaming online at iFiber1newsradio.com. You can watch the show on our YouTube channel. Listen to it as well if you're traveling. Don't want you watching the show if you're going to be driving. What?
Nothing.
Got. Probably should have ate some more breakfast before we start talking about chili, National Chili Day.
I did eat
so
breakfast.
Delicious. All I had was a bowl of Cheerios. I'm talking about chili. Now you're trying to talk to me about chili con carne, y frijoles, little chili with meat and beans, or what is the best, what is not the best. You found me a recipe that you say is legit with no beans in it.
Well, Bill, basically, chili con carne is, or con carne, or however you say it, is meat with chilies.
So when we're talking about chili, we're talking about like chili peppers.
Yeah, I would say. Something.
Central Mason Fire and EMS. I think the Chief Tim McKern's coming in as well with Battalion Chief Steve Holloway to talk about the fire station and their award-winning chili. It is award-winning. Some of it's hot in your mouth. Whoa, it tastes so good. We'll talk about what is the best chili in the history of chili throughout the day on National Chili Day. Tonight, it's going to be a hot one in Texas as there's a GOP debate on iFIBER ONE. Our partnership with CNN and Salem Media coverage starts at 3, and this is the last debate before Super Tuesday. Looking at some of the stories from around the Northwest this morning, a man convicted of gun crimes after his 15-year-old son used his gun to kill 4 classmates and himself at a Washington high school began serving his sentence. The Daily Herald reports that Raymond Freiberg was booked into a California prison last week serving a 2-year sentence. Subject of a 2002 restraining order, which meant he was prohibited from owning guns once his firearms were used by his son in the 2014 shootings at Marysville Pilchuck High School, if you remember that case. King County High School cheerleading coach facing charges that he sent nude photos of himself to 2 male students on the cheer squad. Cairo's reporting this morning that Benjamin Canty of Auburn is charged with 2 counts of communication with a minor for immoral purposes, volunteer coach for Kentwood High School.
New York authorities say a Washington state man, his brother, and sister-in-law are charged with defrauding the federal government out of about $8 million from 30 research grants. The U.S. Attorney's Office says Harry Wynn of Pullman and others received grants from the federal agencies that were supposed to be used to develop asphalt composition technologies. Instead, Wynn's deposited the funds for personal use.
6:18 at iFIBER ONE News Radio, and a good morning to you. I am Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner with great guests throughout the day today. A jury in Tacoma has convicted a 52-year-old man of murdering a woman back in 1993. Detectives reopened the case 3 years ago, and they were able to send blood collected from the incident to a crime lab for analysis. The lab came back, found out that it matched a DNA profile to a guy named James Edward Mitchell. Turns out he lived across the street from this person, and they have now convicted this person.
A woman bit down on a rare pearl while eating a meal of clams and other seafood at an Italian restaurant in Issaquah. Como TV reports Lindsay Has and her husband were eating at an Italian restaurant when she bit into something hard when she was crunch. She took it to a gemologist because she put it in her pocket. She decided to save it and put it in her pocket. She didn't know what it was.
Right.
How many people would have actually done that?
Yeah.
I
mean, the first thing I think of is that she bit down on something
like a bone or something. Yeah. So she thought, well, maybe she's just one of those a person that's very determined to find out what it was. But they found out that it was a quahog pearl worth about $600.
Wow.
I'd say she got she had a very good meal.
That story could have gone either way.
Yeah.
I mean, the couple could have really, filed a lawsuit and I ate this thing and who knows.
This is a happy story.
I think she's going to turn it into a necklace. The Washington Supreme Court, Carol. Think about this story and we'll take a break, come back and talk a little bit more about it. The Washington Supreme Court, which came within one vote of striking down the death penalty a decade ago, is now re-examining it. Dozens of former Washington judges have taken the unusual step of urging the court to find it unconstitutional this time. Former Justice Faith Ireland, who sided with the narrow majority in upholding the capital punishment law back in 2006. When we come back, we'll talk about that in relation to that story about the guy with the DNA and a little bit more.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Have a lost pet to tell you about on iFIBER ONE News Radio. Tucker, a Yorkshire Terrier mix, has gone missing from Jones Road in the Arcadia area of Shelton. Tucker is 6 pounds and 5 years old, gray in color, and has recently been groomed. Tucker is also very timid. If you see Tucker, call his family at 360-427-4399. For more lost and found pets, look under the local tab on iFiber1newsradio.com.
Having a new baby this year? If you just got the exciting news, Mountain View Women's Health has some more good news for you. The best prenatal and delivery care you could ask for is close to home and family. Mountain View Women's Health and the Birth Center at Mason General Hospital offer excellent care to make your prenatal and birth experience wonderful. Among the many great features is the personalized birthing plan that includes your choice of pain management from epidural to natural birth. For more information, call Mountain View Women's Health at 426-0955.
Mason General Hospital and family of clinics. Equal opportunity provider. Translation services provided.
Mason General and family of clinics.
Understanding your finances is a key to a strong financial future. Don't be the one who gets left behind. Visit feedthepig.org for tools and tips to get started on the path to financial stability. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Satisfy your need for speed this month at Lucky Eagle Casino.
Enter our Pedal to the Metal giveaway February 1st through 26th, and you could win thousands in cash or a new Dodge Challenger.
We'll have drawings every Friday for prizes ranging from $100 in free play to $2,000 in cash.
Then on February 26th, one lucky finalist will win a new Dodge Challenger from Rainier Dodge.
Lucky Eagle Casino and Hotel, I-5 to exit 88, Rochester, Washington. Details at luckyeagle.com.
Where you belong.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here, 623 at iFIBER ONE. Dozens of former Washington judges urging the state Supreme Court to strike down the death penalty. Capital punishment already rarely used in Washington, with just 5 people executed in the last 35 years. The governor has imposed a moratorium on executions, but I believe it's one of those executive orders where at the end of his term it'll go away.
Right.
Unless the next governor decides to continue the thing. Arguments are scheduled for today in the case of Alan Eugene Gregory, convicted of a killing 43-year-old cocktail witness. The court came within one vote of striking down the death penalty in 2006, and 56 former judges signed a brief urging the court to abolish it this time. They say who gets it is arbitrary, and some of the state's worst killers, including Green River serial killer Gary Ridgway, avoided capital punishment. Lawyers for the state have urged the court to stick with their previous decisions upholding the law. I never even thought about that with the Green River Killer. So he killed like 40 or something, allegedly. And he came out and said, you don't give me the death penalty and I'll tell you where more bodies are.
Negotiating.
That's kind of...
So the worse crime you commit, the more negotiating power you have?
So that's what it sounds like to me. And that's what it seems like on all the TV shows you watch, too. You jaywalk, you get thrown the book at, you kill somebody, and they give you parole.
Right.
So I don't know about this one. The other thing is the interesting story about the DNA evidence that was used in an earlier case that we were also just talking about. A 52-year-old man murdered somebody back in 93. They opened the case just the other couple years ago because of, new technology.
Right.
And they found that it was this guy who lived across the street, James Mitchell. So there are, and everybody in prison says that they're innocent, but we find out all the time that people are exonerated of these crimes. They're on the death row. They're on death row. And they, through continued work on this stuff, they find that they are exonerated.
I mean, there's a lot of private parties that, people will write to, and it's a group, and they'll go through and do all the research and try to get some of these cases back in court, and then they find out that they actually are innocent. So, yeah, I agree. The judges, which is interesting, they're former judges, so I'm guessing they either have a conscience now, or you just can't do anything while you're...
You can't make those comments when you're on the bench.
Yeah, I think it's both.
You think over the years they see these cases over and over again, and the fact that, like in Ridgway's case, I mean, he's the biggest serial killer in the state history, and he doesn't even get the death penalty. So, what's the point?
Right.
Now, if you're a family member, though.
Well, it doesn't, of course, it's never happened to me, and hopefully it never will, but I still don't believe in the death penalty.
That if somebody did the crime, eye for an eye kind of stuff.
Right.
Interesting.
You?
I'm not for it. There's a lot of monetarily. So if you look at purely financially for the state, it is cost effective to just keep them in jail for life, without parole. If you look at it in the case that, we're finding people that were convicted of these crimes that didn't do it.
Right.
So how many innocent people have they put to death over the many years?
Yeah. And how would you like to be that judge that makes that decision?
And then you read in the paper the next day or 3 years later.
Yeah.
New DNA evidence exonerates man who's already dead.
Right.
This judge put them. Yeah.
So when the police go to those crime scenes and they hopefully don't, mess it up, and they have to go through and they have to get all that evidence. I mean, that's really important.
Oh, yeah.
And then they'll, obviously they can save it for years, and then they'll have to open up the case again.
I've talked about that crime show.
CSI,
Cold Justice. Cold Justice, because it's a real one. It's a real show.
Oh.
That's a scripted NCIS.
No, it's not scripted.
But they are able to now, all you'd have to do, so I talk very closely on this microphone. In fact, sometimes my mouth touches the windscreen, which is gross, but I'm the only one that uses this. They could take the windscreen and find my DNA on it. You don't even have to really leave. You can wipe your hands on things now. I'm not going to wipe my hand on you, but then they can find the DNA.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a tough one. And then there's that Making a Murderer Netflix thing that Representative Griffey was telling us about. You just don't know all the details, and people are imperfect.
Oh, I know. And then eyewitnesses is not the best witness.
Eyewitnesses are terrible.
Yeah. And then they've proven that just because you think you see it. And plus, who do you talk to immediately, and how do they steer you into what you think you saw?
It's all about the questions. And And once they ask a question and you don't know the answer, you start filling in the blanks by yourself. Very interesting.
So then you need a hypnotherapist to come in and get to the real nitty gritty.
I got a list of them if you need. We talked a story last week, perhaps. Maybe it was Monday. Capuchin monkeys. Remember that one?
Yeah, I do.
2 capuchin monkeys confiscated from a home in Pasco moved to a sanctuary in an undisclosed location. Tri-City Herald reports the monkeys, both male, removed on Valentine's Day by Tri-City's animal shelter officials, quarantined at a shelter, moved to a sanctuary where authorities determined whether or not they were owned legally. So there was a law back in 2007 that says you can't have these unless you already have one. One of the monkeys allegedly was purchased in 2006. The family has both of these because they can't have any kids.
But why an undisclosed location?
On iFIBER One Newsradio.
Breakout, man. You ever see Project X?
Well, I was wondering if there's been some stuff.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The Mason County Sheriff's Office is looking for a 14-year-old runaway from the Olympia area who's believed to be in Shelton. Tyler A. Jackson is described as 4'8" in height and weighing 65 pounds. He has blue eyes and light brown hair. Jackson has a warrant for his arrest out of Lewis County Juvenile Court. You can see a picture of him on our website, iFIBER1newsradio.com. If anyone sees Jackson or knows of his location, you're asked to call 911. 35th District Representative Drew McEwen called into Daybreak to talk about the House leader's decision not to impeach State Auditor Troy Kelly.
You know, I could have exercised my right as a member to push it forward to a floor vote through a procedural motion, and it would have failed because you don't break on a procedural vote. It wouldn't have gotten further. It would have given me a last stand, so to speak. It would have inflamed what are already fragile relations between the House and the Senate. So begrudgingly, I chose to be a team player, not do that, and a compromise. They did this letter to Mr. Kelly once again to please resign, and I think we all know he's not going to. And you know, he goes to trial in a couple weeks, and again, the impeachment had nothing to do with his federal charges. It had everything to do with him, frankly, abandoning the office and giving his authority to a non-elected individual, and that was the crux of it. And I believe that our case for that was strong. It had bipartisan support, but it's the way these things go.
Kelly is fighting federal charges of tax evasion, money laundering, and perjury. The next community open house for Shelton schools will focus on levies and bonds. Superintendent Dr. Alex Apostle explains more.
But we'll focus on on our bond and the needs associated with a bond if we were to run it here in the near future. And of course, we've got to run a levy, which basically takes care of our daily expenses. We're going to run that in February 2017. So just I want to give people a heads up in terms of what's coming.
The forum is this evening from 7 to 8 p.m. at Evergreen Elementary School. Dr. Apostle also shared a little bit about the next Community Pride Night coming up next month to celebrate spring sports.
On March 9th at 5:30 at the Shelton High School campus, and we have a very special event that's going to take place on that night, but we want to make sure that we have a great crowd. It's going to be a very special Community Pride Night for our spring sports athletes and our coaches. I'm very excited about the special event, and maybe some of you have heard about it, but I'm not going to reveal it publicly until maybe next Friday.
You'll hear more about that tomorrow as Dr. Apostle is on Daybreak every Friday morning at 8 to talk about things going on with the school district. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
I'm Attorney Harold Carr. During the past 25 years, more than 8,000 people have trusted me to handle their personal injury cases. I understand how an injury can disrupt your life and cause financial hardship for you and your family. At the law firm of Harold Carr, we have 5 attorneys and 19 staff members experienced with negotiating and litigating with insurance companies. So if you feel the insurance company is not dealing with you fairly, call me, Harold Carr. Let us deal with the insurance company so you won't have to.
Car accident? Call Carr or visit us online at haroldcarrattorney.com.
Curry cooking in Miami. Spurs and Cavs win and put an X next to Villanova. Hi, everybody. Todd Ant reporting on sports. Temperatures rose in South Florida as the Heat gave the defending champs a run for their money. Trailing by 1 with 39 seconds left in the game, Warriors guard Steph Curry took care of business.
Hand off to Curry with 10 to shoot. Curry off a screen, takes a 3. It's up and good! Curry! three.
On KNBR, the Warriors get the road win 118-112 in Miami. There were 13 lead changes in the fourth quarter alone. Curry scored 42. The Warriors guard tied an NBA record Wednesday by making a three-pointer in his 127th consecutive regular season game. Golden State is 51-5, and the Spurs are not far behind.
Here's Kawhi the other way. Bounce pass to Parker. Lay it up and good. And the Spurs can put this one in the back pocket.
On WOAI, Tony Parker scored 23. San Antonio beat the Kings 108-92 in Sacramento. Spurs are 48-9. To college hoops, X marks the loss for top-ranked Villanova.
Feed down low to Jalen Reynolds. Over the top of Darryl Reynolds with a one-hand tomahawk.
On WLW, fifth-ranked Xavier knocks off number 1 Villanova 90-83. Wisconsin made its case for an NCAA tournament berth.
And the Badgers get another big-time road win. Down goes Iowa.
On Lear Field, and the Badgers knock off 8th-ranked Iowa 67-59 in Iowa City. And Colorado stuns number 9 Arizona.
Trier, catch and shoot for the tie. No good. Colorado wins.
On ESPN, the Buffaloes beat the Wildcats 75-72. NHL, a reversal of fortune for Montreal.
And here comes Eller. Good pass out front. Galchenyuk shoots. He scores. Oh, great setup by Eller to Galchenyuk.
On TSN Radio 690, after taking a 4-1 lead, the struggling Canadians hang on to beat the Capitals 4-3, the best team in the league. And Giants defensive end Jason Pierre-Paul has filed a lawsuit in Miami-Dade County, Florida, against ESPN and reporter Adam Schefter for posting his medical records last summer. Todd Ant, ABC Sports.
Previously on the Under the Hood Show.
This would be Glenn.
Hey, Glenn, go ahead.
I've got an 87 Honda that I just picked up for a song, like $100, and it runs beautifully at 305,000 miles.
Quite impressive.
But when you start it, you have to start it 3 times to get the automatic choke to kick in properly.
So what, Glenn? It was $100.
Go Under the Hood, Saturdays at noon on iFIBER ONE Newsradio, AM 1030 and FM 1033.
6:36 on iFIBER ONE News Radio, and a good morning to you. Just like you taking a look at sports here. 4 Lady Clippers. Talking South Puget Sound Community College basketball. 4 of them played in a game last night, and those 4 scored in double figures. And South Puget Sound knocked off Tacoma 55-47. There are always 5 people on the floor, by the way. The Clippers keep in the playoff hunt with that win. In the men's game, later in the evening, Tyler Watts led the Clips with 15 points as South Puget Sound knocked off Tacoma 78-51. South Puget Sound out-rebounded Tacoma 43-29 on their way to victory. Later today, Sports Director Sean Wells will have video highlights from both games. Oregon over Washington State 76-62. And Oregon State over Washington, 82-81. The final regular season Gonzaga game is on the radio this Saturday, pregame at 4:40, tip-off at 5. They play tonight, but we have a GOP debate on the air for you. Coverage starts at 3, and this is the last debate before Super Tuesday. 6:37 right now. Moving over to the forecast, here's Carol.
Good morning. It's 33. There's some patchy fog this morning. It's going to clear up with some clouds. It's going to be a high of 61. Overnight, not so cold as it was, about 40. And then tomorrow, looks like there's going to be some periods of rain throughout the day, but we will be at a high of 56. And right now, it's 33.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You, from business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
6:39 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, and a good morning to you. We'll live the country life in a few moments and hear from the Old Farmer's Almanac as well. It is National Chili Day. And
it is.
It is a delicious bowl of food that you can eat, and there is a lot of fights. I'm just going to pine for a second here. Picture ourselves in the wild, wild west, and we're in Texas or anywhere in the Southwest. And an old cattle rancher comes on into town, goes to the nearest restaurant, looks for a bowl of chili. Now, he's used to a certain style of chili, maybe with beans, maybe without. And they claim they got the best. I think a lot of fights happened over who has the best chili recipes.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure it always happens that way.
My mammy, she made the best chili ever. You know why? Because she didn't add beans. And then someone across the room goes, "No beans."
Yeah, I mean, it just it depends. I mean, maybe it's the spice in it. Joe DeFreitas, the only man to ever win the national and the world chili championships, said chili powder makes you crazy.
Yeah, it does.
Chili, chili refers to the pepper pod and chili to the concoction. They're spelled different. Chili, C-H-I-L-E, pepper pod, C-H-I-L-I to the concoction. I mean, so I'm sort of looking at some history of the chili, and if some facts are that chili peppers show up, way back, and they planted them, and it was in New Mexico and in Texas. And they used it to cook, and those are pretty much the facts. What's
in the chili what is your chili?
Well, I love all the chili. I love whatever.
I mean, does it have meat? Does it not have meat? Is it really spicy?
Yeah, I love all.
Not spicy?
I like it both. I like it. I've had one of the best chili I've ever had, though, was just meat, no beans.
Okay.
I mean, you dip your tortilla into it, and it's delicious. But I've had other chili, which is loaded with everything, and even cheese, and, you put it in macaroni and cheese, and it just depends what your mood is.
I
don't think there's no right answer. Some people
it's just always good.
Some people might disagree.
What about canned chili?
I try to avoid
for me,
it.
stag chili.
I'm sure it's all very good. I just try to avoid that.
Cattle House, I suppose.
If you can make your own chili.
Your own, obviously, it's great. I grew up on stag chili.
Right.
That's in our household. That's what we had. We're going to hear from Central Mason Fire and EMS in about a half an hour this morning, because they have got their firehouse chili that they put out at all the events. And the contesting, and it always is winning big prizes because it's so delicious. So the chef, the actual guy who makes the stuff, is scheduled to come in, I think, along with Chief Tim McKern from Central Mason Fire and EMS. So we can talk about how the fire station's doing, get an update. We haven't heard much from them lately.
True.
And then in addition, try to see if we can get any secret tidbits on how they make their chili that everybody loves. 6:42 at iFIBER ONE News Radio. Sean Wells will be in at 8:15 to talk wrap up of winter sports, see how the Sounders are looking, and the Mariners as well. And then Mark Ziegler in for empty bowls and see what else the spring sports or spring programs have to offer from Parks and Rec. That's going to be in 2 hours from right now at 8:45. Small cities making big livings. Our friends at the Business Examiner have a new post on our website, iFiber1newsradio.com, under the regional tab. Carol and I will talk about that. Olympia been named the best small city to make a living in the United States.
Amazing.
It's a big United States. Or just little old Olympia. Right back after this.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
I feel right at home on JohnLScott.com.
Hi, this is Dawn Pinnell from John L. Scott Real Estate here in Shelton. For a while now, I have been saying welcome home and sharing with you some great listings and some hopefully educational and interesting items of riveting radio real estate topics. We're moving our time slot to Friday at 8:55, right at the end of the morning show. I hope you will continue to listen and that you will contact me with any of your real estate needs. I would love to help you say, I'm home.
Habitat for Humanity of Mason County invites you to shop their local retail stores in Belfair and in Shelton. At Habitat for Humanity stores, you'll find amazing bargains on discounted home improvement supplies, gently used furniture, and so much more. And when you shop Habitat for Humanity, your dollars are put to work helping to improve, build, and maintain affordable housing right here in Mason County. Habitat for Humanity. Let's build a strong community together.
Being a good steward of the forest on your land starts with solid planning. Hi, I'm Jody Henke. Develop a detailed management plan that is tailored for your goals now and into the future as you're living the country life.
Living the country life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic and from previous shows by visiting us online at livingthecountrylife.com. We'll return to the show after these messages.
He's done 3 tours and now he's saving his dad's farm. Do you know a farmer veteran like that? We're inviting you to share their story. Successful Farming Magazine and Grasshopper Mowers are teaming up to acknowledge and thank farmer veterans for their service. This new initiative is called From Fighter to Farmer. Enter any veteran farmers you know in our contest at agriculture.com/fighter-to-farmer. Explain the veteran's military experience and farming operation, along with the involvement they have in your community. 3 veterans will receive a combination prize package of $5,000 and a vacation to Nashville. 1 lucky winner will also receive a $10,000 gift certificate to spend at Grasshopper Mowers. No purchase necessary. Open to legal residents of the 40 contiguous United States and D.C. 13 years and older. Begins February 1st, 2016 and ends April 30th, 2016. Subject to official rules at agriculture.com/fighter-to-farmer rules. Void in Alaska, Hawaii, and where prohibited. Sponsor, Meredith Corporation. From Fighter to Farmer is brought to you by Grasshopper Mowers. Enter any veteran farmer you know in our contest at agriculture.com/fighter-to-farmer.
People own forested land for many reasons, including income from the wood, recreational purposes, and aesthetics. You can't afford to ignore the value of this asset, so a well-prepared forest management plan will help you meet your goals now and into the future. Earl Garber is the president of the National Association of Conservation Districts. He says to start your plan by conferring with local conservation and forestry professionals for their assessment and technical assistance. The management practices you develop will depend on your objectives as well as the age and condition of the stand.
Is the stand ready for a thinning? Is the stand mature, or is it at the stage where you go in and remove a percentage of the trees? One of the other things you have to look at is what's the invasive species condition of your forest? Are there some species of trees that you need to remove that are competing with the one that you'd like to harvest for income in the future?
Garber says a good management plan includes both short-term and long-term goals.
When you're talking about a pine forest, you may be talking about a 30 to 35-year plan before the trees are mature. You do a clean cut and start over. When you get to hardwood, depending where you're located, it could be anywhere from 50 to 100-year plan to manage that hardwood with incremental harvesting and control of species that you don't want. So if there's any part of the natural resources long-term planning, it's forestry.
Your plan doesn't have to be a long, complicated document, but it should be considered work in progress. Create a timeline of specific tasks and revisit your plan every 5 years or so. Having your knowledge and intentions written out makes it easier to pass on to the next generation. Learn more about starting a forest management plan at livingthecountrylife.com. I'll see you in the country.
Living the country life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic, share your tips, and post photos by visiting us online.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Good morning to you. It's Daybreak here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, 6:48 on a Thursday morning. And a good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey. ABC News coming up at 7. Mary Lynn Foster will be in just after that to talk with us about the latest in local news. You can find some of the news stories on iFIBER1newsradio.com. This new story under our regional tab. Carol?
Yeah, Olympia is the best small city to live in to make a living. That's pretty cool. It's been named from a website, moneygeek.com. It's the first such listing of cities. And to calculate it, they take the cost of the living in each city of the second quarter of 2015, compared to the national median cost of living in the same time period as the rest of the states.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, they compare cost of living to what you can potentially earn. So where you can get the most bang for your buck.
Okay, so you make $100,000 a year, we're just going to say, but you can live off of $80,000 a year.
Yeah, you're most likely to have a well-paying job relative to what you'll pay for living expenses.
So what else about Olympia was it?
Well, what they said, it was sort of interesting where how to find a thriving small city was look for a state capital or a university that's in the city.
So we've got both.
Yeah, Olympia, state capital. Well, they don't have the Evergreen listed, but they have, the major hospital there.
St. Martin's.
St. Martin's, yeah. So it came out as number one at 112% income to cost ratio.
So you make 12% more than you need to in Olympia.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. In Ithaca, New York, Cornell University, they came number second.
Sure.
Kennewick, Washington.
Oh, Kennewick. Okay.
Yeah. So they have the Battelle Pacific Northwest National Laboratory, regional medical centers, and then like Ames, Iowa, Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Cheyenne's nice.
Yeah, it is nice. Wilmington, Delaware. Kalamazoo.
Oh, Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
It's a real place. Ogden, Utah. I really,
number 10.
I've been down there before. Yeah, it's nice. So that's a good little list. And we are in the 2 cities in the top 3 for Washington State.
Yeah. Like Albany, New York, they ranked it as number 15. It's getting down to like
Roanoke. Yikes, don't want to go there. That's where those people disappeared back in the 1700s. 6:50 at iFIBER One News Radio, and a good morning to you. A man convicted of gun crimes after his 15-year-old son used his gun to kill 4 classmates and himself at a Washington high school has begun serving his sentence. The Daily Herald reports that Raymond Freiberg was booked into a California prison last week, serving at a 2-year sentence. His son was the guy who used the firearms in the shootings at the Marysville Pilchuck High School back in 2014. If you remember that case. New York authorities say a Washington state man, his brother and sister-in-law are charged with defrauding the federal government of about $8 million from 30 research grants. The U.S. Attorney's Office's Harry Wynn of Pullman and others received grants from federal agencies that were supposed to be used to develop asphalt composition technologies. Instead, they put them in their own bank accounts.
Some more local news. The community activist Kevin Schmelzlin.
Sure, I remember him. Yeah.
He went to the Mason County Commissioners meeting Tuesday to see if they could cover landfill fees for their project. He brought in a big box of broken glass that he said he just picked up just on that Tuesday.
I'm sure.
They said they, want him to come back to discuss the request, but he says that they're picking up all this litter, then they have to take it to, they're taking it to the landfill, and it's cost him about $200.
Yeah.
So he wants the county to see if they will cover the landfill fees, not to pay him for picking up the trash.
No, not pay him.
Yeah, but just to pick up the trash.
Foot the bill.
Yeah, foot the bill. I mean, they picked up more than 3,000 pounds of trash.
I don't know if you saw those pictures on our Facebook page.
Yeah, they were crazy.
From one to the other. I mean, it looked disgusting.
Oh, yeah, it was horrible. It looked horrible. So if you want more information, you can go to Shelton to the Top Facebook page. They're going to have another effort Saturday at the Fred Meyer
So what the county commissioners just kind of said, move along.
Well, maybe he has to do it in some kind of a formal
official capacity.
Thing. Yeah, I don't know. I think he was just during the comment section.
Sure.
So, but keep it going. He wants it to be a place to live, great place where people want to live.
Commissioner Netherland called him a hero for his leadership. Doesn't look like though he actually gave him any money after that.
Interesting. You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
The Chad Benson Show.
How in the world are you going to pay for all that you want to do? And you can only tax people to a certain point. People who are smart, guess what? They get sick and tired of it, and they find other ways to do stuff. All of a sudden, you go from having a certain percentage of something to 100% of nothing.
The Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, live weekdays, 3 to 6 on iFIBER One News Radio.
Longer daylight hours seem to make everyone a little more cheerful. As we leave the year's darkest months behind, we share some more good news from the Old Farmer's Almanac. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Friday, February 26th, the 57th day of the year. Comedy legend Jackie Gleason was born 100 years ago, and country music icon Johnny Cash would have turned 84 today. You've surely noticed the days growing longer recently, and the rate of increase will only pick up speed in the weeks to come. That's good news for those who struggle with depression brought on by a deficit of light. And here's more good news. Light therapy, a standard treatment for seasonal depression, appears to be an effective treatment for non-seasonal depression. A carefully controlled study found that light therapy is often as effective as medication. It's much safer than a drug, too, with fewer side effects. That is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Learn more and get our advice of the day online at almanac.com.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
6:55 at iFIBER ONE News Radio. So the other day we talked about Zika virus. There was a gentleman in his 20s here in Mason County that got the virus, was treated in Lacey. Right. And so my question was, okay, we're hearing that Washington mosquitoes can't carry this thing. Well, one, do we know that? Two, what if a Washington mosquito bites someone infected? Then would any sort of micro Zika, end up either in the mosquito's bloodstream or in the shaft of the nose, where they're pricking you or whatever. And nobody had an answer for me until Jeff Chu talks to Dr. Diana Yu about this.
Yep, he wrote Diana Yu and asked him basically that question. And he got an answer back saying the answer's no. Because mosquitoes in Washington and here in Mason County, they're not capable of carrying the virus. Technically, the virus infects the mosquito, and then if it bites somebody else, it transmits it. So our mosquitoes, if
they're bit by a mosquito, if the mosquito is bit by a mosquito,
that's a good question. I don't know if mosquitoes bite mosquitoes,
I don't know if they do.
But they just. It won't infect them if they got it into their system, is basically what they're saying. They're not capable of getting infected.
Our mosquitoes are not capable of getting infected. Do we need to take the blood of those mosquitoes and figure out why they don't get infected and then give it to all of us?
That's another good question. So if a person is unknowingly infected and has no symptoms, there's no significant virus circulating in their blood. So that's also another reason.
Significant virus, okay.
Right. So it's not the mosquito's nose or proboscis or whatever it's called. It's not like a hypodermic needle, where when you would use a dirty needle, it would stick right there. That's
what's in my mind's eye.
It doesn't quite work that way. It's not just mechanical.
Okay.
So. Of course, this is all in the infancy.
It's all very new.
And that's another good question. If they are immune to it, why are they immune to it? And can we spread that?
Can we use that to our advantage?
Exactly. You've been watching X-Files?
I haven't, but apparently that's what this last one was all about.
Ripped from the headlines.
Ripped from the headlines.
Oh,
the final, they did that.
Missing your calling. You should be writing a TV show or maybe a movie about, this kind of stuff.
I'm just asking questions. I feel if I've got that question,
and when you don't
there's many
show up
folks.
One day, I'll go, he asked the wrong question.
He asked the wrong question. Out loud. Yeah, I think you could be right. 7 o'clock.
Where's Jeff?
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
I'm Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio. Stocks are mixed. The Dow's up 12 points, the Nasdaq lower by 6. Apple's chief executive appeared on television last night explaining why he has not complied with a court order helping the FBI hack into an iPhone belonging to one of the San Bernardino shooters. In an interview with ABC News, CEO Tim Cook says It would be bad for America and set a legal precedent that would offend many Americans. He says Apple is prepared to take the case all the way to the Supreme Court. Sears posting a wider than expected fourth quarter loss. Kmart and Sears both reporting a drop in sales. MetLife says it's in talks with Mass Mutual Financial Group over a possible sale of its retail advisor group, MetLife Premier Client Group. The nation's largest life insurer cautions that an agreement may or may not be reached at this point. Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio.
Did you know 1 in 50 people has a brain aneurysm? Every 18 minutes, a brain aneurysm erupts. Half of brain aneurysms result in death. Will it strike you or someone you love? The Brain Aneurysm Foundation is the globally recognized leader in brain aneurysm education, awareness, advocacy, support, and research funding. The Brain Aneurysm Foundation, raising awareness and ending fear. To learn facts at bafound.org. That's bafound.org.
7-Eleven now has these amazing new breakfast melts, and they're only $2.99. Bacon.
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Our announcer decided to try the product. He was trying to explain 7-Eleven has 2 new melts that are toasted in-store, a bacon, egg, and cheese, and a sausage, bacon, and cheese. Both with thick-cut hickory-smoked bacon and aged cheddar cheese served on an artisan ciabatta roll for only $2.99.
Only 7-Eleven.
Yeah, only at
The Chad Benson Show, live weekdays from 3 to 6 on iFIBER ONE Newsradio, AM 1030 and FM 1033, KMAS Shelton.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Karen Chase. Virginia's governor has called out the National Guard to help victims of a tornado that left a 3-mile scar across the central part of the state. 4 people were killed, dozens hurt, and a number of homes destroyed. ABC's Philip Mena is in Waverly, where 3 of the 4 victims were killed when their trailer was tossed.
Right next to where the trailer once was are the remnants of what was just yesterday a functioning laundromat, and right now all you can see are a few bricks and a line of washing machines that were bolted to the concrete, and now they're just lined up there in the open air.
A Coast Guard chopper was called in to save the crew of a Coast Guard ship that got in trouble on a rescue call off New York. ABC's Rob Nelson is in Far Rockaway, Queens.
The ship had been out in the water about 8 days fishing, and then ran into trouble early this morning, even before the sun was up, and they were able to use their flares to signal for help, and the Coast Guard was able to get here quickly, both a helicopter from Atlantic City as well as dozens of responders from the police department and other Coast Guard personnel as well.
Apple CEO Tim Cook says he's not comfortable denying the government's request to unlock a terrorist's iPhone because it could endanger millions.
What is at stake here is, can the government compel Apple to write software that we believe would make hundreds of millions of customers vulnerable around the world, including the U.S.
Mixed signals are coming from the latest economic stats. 10,000 more people applied for jobless benefits last week, though overall numbers remain low. Meanwhile, orders for durable goods rose 4.9% last month, suggesting better days ahead for manufacturers. Mumbai has declared 16 no-selfie zones to prevent people from putting themselves in danger at risky spots. From the Strange Bedfellows Department, Vice President Joe Biden will intro Lady Gaga at the Oscars this weekend before she sings her song Till It Happens to You. Both are activists against domestic violence. This is ABC News.
When your child is struggling to read, you can hear the frustration in their voice. As a parent, you feel helpless and discouraged.
Homework time was always a very stressful time for Eddie, not to mention us. It seemed every night he was going to bed in tears.
She would stumble on words. She would drop sentences, go down 2 sentences, come back, jump around. No matter what you did, it continued.
The USA Reading Clinic is looking for dedicated parents and kids who are committed to overcoming these challenges. Without the proper help, your child is at risk of being left behind. But with our proven technology, your child can flourish as a reader.
Eddie can now read, he's processing, he's understanding, and he's retaining. His grades are going up too.
To find out if your child is eligible, call now for a free consultation. Space is limited. Call the USA Reading Clinic at 800-693-9329. That's 800-693-9329. 800-693-9329.
Officials in one Arizona county are boycotting iPhones because they disagree with Apple's position on unlocking the phone of one of the San Bernardino shooters. ABC's Cooper Rummel has their story.
Apple is on the side of terrorists, according to Maricopa County Attorney Bill Montgomery.
Our country faces very serious threats, and the position that Apple has taken certainly empowers those who would seek to harm.
Montgomery says Apple's refusal to unlock an iPhone used by one of the San Bernardino shooters is irresponsible. So effective immediately, his office is no longer providing iPhones to employees.
If Apple wants to become the official smartphone provider to ISIS and the Sinaloa cartel, they can do so, but there's going to be a consequence.
Cooper Rummel, ABC News, Phoenix.
An honors student at a Pennsylvania high school was no teen. Police in Harrisburg discovered his real identity. He turned out to be a 23-year-old Ukrainian national using a phony name, but investigators say he was good. He had a 4.16 grade average and was involved in school activities. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. The Mason County Sheriff's Office is looking for a 14-year-old runaway from the Olympia area who's believed to be in Shelton. Tyler A. Jackson is described as 4'8" in height and weighing 65 pounds. He has blue eyes and light brown hair. Jackson has a warrant for his arrest out of Lewis County Juvenile Court. You can see a picture of him on our website, iFIBER1newsradio.com. If anyone sees Jackson or knows of his location, you're asked to call 911. 35th District Representative Drew McEwen called into Daybreak to talk about the House leader's decision not to impeach State Auditor Troy Kelly.
You know, I could have exercised my right as a member to push it forward to a floor vote through a procedural motion, and it would have failed because you don't break on a procedural vote. It wouldn't have gotten further. It would have given me a last stand, so to speak. It would have inflamed what are already fragile relations between the House and the Senate. So begrudgingly, I chose to be a team player and not do that. And a compromise, they did this letter to Mr. Kelly once again to please resign, and I think we all know he's not going to. And
right.
You know, he goes to trial in a couple weeks, and again, the impeachment had nothing to do with his federal charges. It had everything to do with him, frankly, abandoning the office and giving his authority to a non-elected individual, and that was the crux of it. And I believe that our case for that was strong. It had bipartisan support, but it's the way these things go.
Kelly is fighting federal charges of tax evasion, money laundering, and perjury. The next community open house for Shelton schools will focus on levies and bonds. Superintendent Dr. Alex Apostle explains more.
But we'll focus on on our bond and the needs associated with a bond if we were to run it here in the near future. And of course, we've got to run a levy, which basically takes care of our daily expenses. We're going to run that in February 2017. So just I want to give people a heads up in terms of what's coming.
The forum is this evening from 7 to 8 p.m. at Evergreen Elementary School. Dr. Apostle also shared a little bit about the next Community Pride Night coming up next month to celebrate spring sports.
On March 9th at 5:30 at the Shelton High School campus, and we have a very special event that's going to take place on that night, but we want to make sure that we have a great crowd. It's going to be a very special Community Pride Night for our spring sports athletes and our coaches. I'm very excited about the special event, and maybe some of you have heard about it, but I'm not going to reveal it publicly until maybe next Friday.
You'll hear more about that tomorrow as Dr. Apostle is on Daybreak every Friday morning at 8 to talk about things going on with the school district. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
The Chad Benson Show.
How in the world are you going to pay for all that you want to do? And you can only tax people to a certain point. People who are smart, guess what? They get sick and tired of it, and they find other ways to do stuff. All of a sudden, you go from having a certain percentage of something to 100% of nothing.
The Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, live weekdays 3 to 6 on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
At Mason PUD3, we know that time changes all things.
like phone numbers, mailing addresses, and email addresses, even names. PUD3 needs your correct account information for emergency contacts and online security. To make this fun, all PUD3 customers who update or confirm their account information by April 27th will have their names placed into a drawing for a free iPad mini. Go to masonpud3.org/account to learn more.
For iFIBER One News Radio, good morning to you. Thursday here, 7:08. I'm Jeff Slinky, along with Carol Gardner. We're checking sports and weather here for Lady Clippers. Played and scored in double figures as South Puget Sound Community College knocked off Tacoma last night, 55-47. Win keeps the Clipper ladies in the playoff hunt. In the men's game later in the night, Tyler Watts led the Clips with 15 points as South Puget Sound knocked off Tacoma 78-51. Be sure to check out the website later today as Sports Director Sean Wells will have video highlights from both games. And he'll be on the air with us in about an hour to talk about that, the Sounders, Mariners, and winter sports wrap-ups here for high school prep. Final regular season Gonzaga game is on the radio this Saturday, pregame at 4:40 and tip-off at 5. There's a game tonight, but we have a GOP debate on for you. Coverage starts at 3 right here on iFIBER One.
Good morning. I'm Carol with the weather.
Hi, Carol.
It's 32 out, some patchy morning fog early. It'll become mostly sunny this afternoon. We'll reach a high of 61. Overnight, the clouds start coming in, and then tomorrow, unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have some rain throughout the day, but we will be at a high of 56. And right now, it's 32.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
It's 7:10 here at iFIBER One News Radio, and a good morning to you. We have some tax tips on the way in just a moment. Also, today is National Chili Day. We are going to hear from Central Mason Fire and EMS's award-winning chili cook in just a moment. And we'll see what the fire station's up to these days. It's all coming up next right here on Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Can volunteering lower your tax bill? I'm ABC's Richard Davies with today's tax tip. Giving from the heart doesn't mean you'll get much more back than gratitude when it comes to volunteering.
Not big benefits from a tax standpoint.
Tom Wheelwright, CEO and founder of the CPA firm Provision.
Your time is not deductible.
He explains why.
The reason is because you don't have to pick up any income for it either.
But you may be able to write off some taxable expenses.
With your volunteering, there are some other things that you can take advantage of depending on the nature of it.
Kathy Pickering of H&R Block says you can deduct the costs associated with your travel, especially if you're using your car.
Say, for example, you're volunteering for Meals on Wheels, where you're required to travel as a part of your volunteer services, you're able to deduct that mileage.
And Pickering says volunteering is always good for the soul. With today's tax tip, Richard Davies, ABC News.
Wittenberg CPA is a professional accounting, tax, and financial consulting firm serving the diverse needs of their businesses and individual clients. They bring excellence and integrity to every aspect of their work, from accounting software support like QuickBooks to tax preparation for individual and business needs, as well as personal, financial, and estate planning services. Wittenberg CPA has the services you or your business needs this year for taxes. Find them online at wittenbergcpa.com or call 426-0230. That's 426-0230.
Your small business needs a loyalty rewards program, but email and paper cards are not effective, and using your POS system where you have to do all the work is bad as well. Go mobile. 95% of customers will check your marketing message on their smartphones in the first 5 minutes you send it, and we do all the work for you for under $150 a month. Call Puget Sound Perks today, 253-584-1212, or visit psperks.com. Reward your customers, and they'll reward you back.
listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio, KMAS.
It's 7:13 at iFIBER One News Radio, and a good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. We're having a lot of fun with today being February 25th, and we're in the middle of winter, and nothing warms us up better than a nice bowl of chili on a cold day.
I agree.
So I know that at Oyster Fest and beyond, that Central Mason Fire and EMS comes out with some of the best chili. So I get in touch with Mike Patty, and I say, Mike, we got to talk about this because it's chili day. So then he pushes me off to Tim, Chief Tim McKern, and then he says, well, who you really need to talk to is Steve Holloway, our battalion chief. He's the one that makes all of our award-winning chili. So in studio with us right now, Steve, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming in on such short notice to talk about this. First, how long have you been with the fire department?
I've been with Central Mason for about 20 years.
Wow, very good. I like it hearing that. You've been around the community for a long time. And you're the main person who makes the chili for like when we go to Oyster Fest and stuff like that?
Yeah, and I do need to qualify just a little bit.
Please.
My wife Trina is the head master chef. I really do need to say that. But I do a lot of the cooking and contribute to a couple of the different recipes that we provide.
Also on the phone to join in with this conversation is Chief Tim McKern. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you today?
Oh, good. And we are, can you hear him good? Yeah, we are talking with Steve. We just got it underway, and we found out who the actual chef of the chili is. Now, the rest of the story is. So, Steve, how does the process work when it comes to chili? Like, how much do you make? Where do you get the ingredients from? Is it a secret family recipe?
I would have to say that the recipe, first of all, is very secret and under penalty of death. I cannot give out too many secrets and ingredients involved. During Oyster Fest, we provide about 400 to 500 bowls of chili.
Wow.
And so from Friday night all the way through that weekend, we're very busy. A larger group of us are busy putting together all the ingredients, chopping, cooking, and making sure that we're prepared for the weekend.
Do you put oysters in your chili?
Absolutely not. That we're one of the few things that is not seafood related.
Well, I didn't. That's cool.
We've been tempted a few times just because it is Oyster Fest to perhaps do a small batch of a specialized oyster chili. I just haven't been able to get there yet.
Right. Not quite ready to make that last step.
No.
Yeah, that's right. You are one of the few non-seafood platters there, and that brings a large draw for folks who may not be feeling it at that time.
Sure.
Delicious. You have different heat levels, is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we do a mild, which is our code red, and then we do a hot, which is our 5-alarm, and then we do a really, really hot, which is our 505's Inferno.
Oh my gosh. Is there Tim, have you had all three of the flavors of this chili? I mean, you're the chief, right? You got to try it all.
Well, I do, but actually, when it comes to the Oyster Fest, I work for Steve, and I make it very clear. Actually, I work for Steve's wife, and I just do my job back there, and he's laughing because that's very true. I have tried 2 flavors of that, and I can tell you I have not signed the waiver that you need to sign in order to eat the Inferno because it's that hot.
Wait a second. There is a piece of paper you have to sign to try this?
Not really. But young children, we do caution the parents that it is rather hot, and so just to make sure we're all on the same page.
I mean,
what you're getting into.
Spoiling any secrets, are we talking about like ghost pepper chili hot or?
Yeah, it's not stupid hot with ghost peppers, but we do a lot of habaneros, a lot of other chilies that are put into not only provide flavor, but the heat level. And so it can get really, really hot.
So do you have some people come up and say, oh, I can handle that, and then they get that Inferno chili,
yes.
and they're like,
Every year.
What's a good mouth cooler if you have hot chili?
So typically the best mouth cooler is a dairy product. So sour cream is a typical ingredient that folks will add into that. I feel it's a little blasphemous, but folks like to do that. Milk is a good I hesitate to say beer isn't good, but those are typically not going to give you the desired effect of cooling that you might desire.
Now, does this chili, is it with meat? Is there beans included in it? And again, you don't have to give us all your secrets here, but we're trying to have a conversation about what really constitutes chili, and it's whatever we've found, kind of whatever makes you feel good. I mean, whatever you like.
Yeah, so I think for a chili purist, there would be no beans, no fillers within that, so it would be meat and chilies and then the spices, of course. Ours does include beans, and I think we do that because most people expect that, especially in this area of the world, and so we provide that. We also find that a lot of people appreciate that and like the flavor and the texture that beans provide, so there are beans in there. Three different kinds.
Tim, are you a purist when it comes to these chilies? You got to keep it with maybe meat and no beans, or where do you fall on this?
I'm telling you, it's really amazing because once you have Steve's chili once, you'll never go back to canned chili again because it's truly that good. And I think it's a food group as far as I'm concerned. And it's that same thing in the firehouse. It's truly a food group. And he has an expertise that we've told him he can't ever retire because we need that forever. And we can't get the recipe because it is a secret recipe.
Sure.
So I was wondering, Chief, is that part of his job requirement that he has to bring in chili every once in a while?
Well, we do on an occasion, and he actually has gone outside of Oyster Fest and has actually gone to several events for the stair climb and what have you, has gone to Allen up there and has one up there as well. And so his chili kind of is pretty well county renowned that everybody knows about his chili. And so, yeah, occasionally he does have to do that. The challenge is that we like after Oyster Fest to have a little bit left over, but as Steve will tell you, we keep running out.
Is that a big problem? You guys run out?
Yeah, it does. Just because of the amount of prep work it takes, we only do so much. And so typically we'll cut off the amount of batches that we make on a particular day. And so Saturday, we'll usually get pretty close. And for the last few years on Sundays, we've typically run out. The Inferno, we don't make as much as we do the other two flavors. And so we will generally run out of that. And most of the folks that come to Oyster Fest and want that, they know. And so they'll be there usually earlier on Saturday in order to get that Inferno.
So Oyster Fest is a location for sure to catch some of this chili. Where else? Tim was just mentioning Allen, but where else do you, for Central Mason Fire, go out and provide this stuff?
We've provided in a lot of different places. The Stair Climb Chili Cook-Off at Bob's Tavern that was just held a couple weeks ago. We're always participating in that. That's a great event and good fundraiser. We try and find other opportunities, fundraiser type events where there's a chili cook-off element, and we'll participate in that. We've done that with Mason County Fire District 4. We've done that up in Allen for North Mason Resources, and we continue to spread our wings a little bit, trying to find other opportunities. Harstein Island has an event in April, I believe, and so we're always trying to find places that we can get in there, spread the word, spread the love, if you will, of our chili, and have a good time.
So do you have a specialized chili pot that you can't use for anything else at your house?
We do have special chili pots that we purchased for making chili. We do not use them for anything else. So perhaps, yes, that's what they're for. Yeah.
He's being biased because you can't actually, you cannot cross mix the spoons.
Oh, no.
So if you're stirring one, you can't stir with the other, and it's pretty amazing.
That's true.
That would be like committing a chili foul, if you will.
That is true.
Battalion Chief Steve Holloway in studio with us. I know you have to get to work, so thank you so much. Tim, though, can you hang on the line for us? I want to talk a little bit about how the Central Mason Fire and EMS is doing.
I can.
All right. Thank you very much. 7:21. Thanks, Steve, for coming in.
You're welcome.
It was a lot of fun talking with you. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll see more and find out a little bit more about what the Central Mason Fire and EMS is up to.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Paraswabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is John Greenhut, the CEO of Paraswabs. And if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Paraswabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a
tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Paraswabs risk-free, call 1-800-928-7113. That's 1-800-928-7113. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends, family, and coworkers talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-928-7113. That's 1-800-928-7113.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
All right, 7:23 here, iFIBER One, chili day, talking chili. We just wrapped up with Steve Holloway, who makes all that award-winning chili for Central Mason Fire and EMS. We still have on the phone line Chief Tim McKern. And so, Tim, how have things been with the firehouse lately?
Well, it's good. You know, we finished up last year doing about 14 calls a day, and I'll say we're at a lull right now because we've just completed our 663 calls. That puts us about 12 a day. So we're getting, I'll call it a quiet time, if you will, but it's good because it'll give us a chance to get ready for another wildland season that we're going to head into, and we've just adopted some new training programs, so we're doing that as well. We were very fortunate to get a grant through the Assistance Firefighter Grant Programs, and which gave us basically all new hose for all of our apparatus. So if you ever stop by the station, you'll see all the new hoses in the back, and all the old hoses have been taken off. And so we're pretty busy making that transition with some new hose as well. So that's kind of what's going on. Keep in mind that about 75% of those are EMS-related calls, and we continue getting out in the public and talking about the EMS calls and what's happening with that.
So when we are looking at the forecast here, and Carol and I have been not anticipating a final freeze. I mean, it has been relatively mild around these parts this winter. Is that putting maybe the less amount of calls per day? People are using less heat sources in improper fashions?
I think you're all of the above. I really do. I think if there's a plug for anything, the plug would be, we had a very unfortunate incident that occurred yesterday over in Port Orchard. Looks to me like it's kind of a propane-ish type concept that's going on.
Okay.
And I think people are using, they're checking their smoke detectors. If they've got gas or some form, they're using a carbon monoxide alarm as well. And this is my push for the public to get those things. And it doesn't take but a second to put a battery in there. And if you're having some issues or as far as reaching them or anything else, the citizens call us frequently to say, hey, help me put a battery in a smoke detector. Those can save 1 million lives, and that's what we're after, is just to make sure that happens as well.
We're coming up on March 13th, which is when we spring forward an hour. And those are traditionally the days when we spring forward and fall back that we're reminded to update our batteries on all those things.
That is correct. That is so true. And I'll come back on. I want to come back on the radio when we get closer to that date, and we'll probably talk about it some more. If I won't be or Mike will be, and we'll make sure that you definitely do that and change that battery out. Not only both the smoke detector, but also that carbon monoxide alarm as well.
Chief Tim McKern from Central Mason Fire and EMS catching up with us on some things. And yeah, please get in touch with us. We'll put you in. We'll fill you in the schedule to talk about any of those issues that you'd like to.
Thanks, Jim. Carol, we sure appreciate it.
Have a good one.
You too, buddy. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
7:26 here at iFIBER One, and it just makes me so hungry to talk about all this chili. I love it. And it is hard. It is hard to not go for an oyster food at Oyster Fest. But sometimes you just can't.
Unless you don't like oysters.
Well, unless I do. So I try those oyster stuff. But if you need an alternative, there is 3 great options all in one booth.
Yeah. But do you find the super duper hot chili, you don't taste the flavor of the chili? Or do you like the super duper hot
that's
chili?
interesting that you bring that up. I used to eat all of my Thai food at 5-star. So I always would say, okay, so they go, what's the star rating? And they say 1 through 4, 1 through 5. I go, you got anything hotter? And so I would, for years, and it may be because I didn't have any taste buds, I don't know what it was, but I'd always just go for the hottest thing ever.
Did you do it just for the status? To say, I'd always eat the hottest?
You probably think I would do that. No.
That's why I asked the question. Or why did you do it?
No, because I felt that the hotter it would be, the more flavorful it would be.
Oh.
Now, though, I'm back down to like a 2 or 3 star, and I can really enjoy the subtle flavors in there. So I do appreciate hot stuff. But I do see you can sense all the flavors when your mouth's not on fire.
Right.
When you're not busy looking for the closest
For a glass of
cow
milk.
that you need to milk because it's so spicy. What about you? You like it super hot, or you in the middle kind of?
I go back and forth, but I like it sort of in the middle. I mean, I did used to eat a lot hotter, hot, but
sure.
I decided that I don't really need it that hot. I sort of like the middle.
I posted a question on our Facebook. I posted an image, and I can only imagine that if seafood is blasphemous to chili, that my suggestion of tofu in your chili perhaps is even more crossing the line.
That sounds horrible.
So post on our Facebook page. We'd love to hear what you think makes a great chili at facebook.com/1030KMAS. That's our Facebook page. 7:30 right now. Oh, well, that was fun. It was nice to talk to Tim too about that. A reminder about our springing forward and changing the batteries. We will get to Mary Lynn Foster here next on iFIBER One News Radio. Big debate on the air tonight. Will Rubio finally go after Trump? I mean, Super Tuesday is days away.
All 5 on the stage, right?
There's all 5. Yeah, 5 are left. They're on the stage tonight. Our coverage gets underway at 3, and the debate, I believe, begins at 5.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Alex Jones and InfoWars. Weeknights 6 to 9 on iFIBER One News Radio.
And with Google Analytics and with Facebook behind it, they all met at the same place Bilderberg met a few years ago. They met there a few years before that. They're north of London. This has all been publicly released and funded the Arab Spring, where they get the students, everybody out the street. But then the radicals use that once they take over to coup d'etat the coup. And then now you have an Islamic State over Libya, over Saudi Arabia, which is already quarterbacking it, over Syria, over Egypt.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Tobert, your advertising consultant from iFIBER One News Radio. Are you missing customers because you only market to a specific group? iFIBER One News Radio can help you hit a larger group of buyers with our diverse audience. We are 24 hours of local and national breaking news, award-winning talk radio, and primetime sports, including local high school sports. What does this mean to you? This means our listeners listen longer to entire programs and don't switch to another station when a commercial comes on. Our coverage in the Puget Sound area hits over 500,000 listeners, including Mason County, Thurston County, Grace Harbor County, King, Pierce, Joint Base Lewis McCourt, and Kitsap County to the Bremerton Naval Base. All advertising is 100% tax deductible. So how can you afford not to advertise? Call me, Mark Tobert, at iFIBER One News Radio to become a total audience plan advertiser. Just call 360-426-1030.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. The Mason County Sheriff's Office is looking for a 14-year-old runaway from the Olympia area who's believed to be in Shelton. Tyler A. Jackson is described as 4'8" in height and weighing 65 pounds. He has blue eyes and light brown hair. Jackson has a warrant for his arrest out of Lewis County Juvenile Court. You can see a picture of him on our website, iFIBER1newsradio.com. If anyone sees Jackson or knows of his location, you're asked to call 911. 35th District Representative Drew McEwen called into Daybreak to talk about the House leader's decision not to impeach State Auditor Troy Kelly.
You know, I could have exercised my right as a member to push it forward to a floor vote through a procedural motion, and it would have failed because you don't break on a procedural vote. It wouldn't have gotten further. It would have given me a last stand, so to speak. It would have inflamed what are already fragile relations between the House and the Senate. So begrudgingly, I chose to be a team player and not do that and a compromise. They did this letter to Mr. Kelly once again to please resign, and I think we all know he's not going to. And
right,
you know, he goes to trial in a couple of weeks, and again, the impeachment had nothing to do with his federal charges. It had everything to do with him, frankly, abandoning the office and giving his authority to a non-elected individual, and that was the crux of it. And I believe that our case for that was strong. It had bipartisan support, but it's the way these things go.
Kelly is fighting federal charges of tax evasion, money laundering, and perjury. The next community open house for Shelton schools will focus on levies and bonds. Superintendent Dr. Alex Apostle explains more.
but we'll focus on on our bond and the needs associated with the bond if we were to run it here in the near future. And of course, we've got to run a levy, which basically takes care of our daily expenses. We're going to run that in February 2017. So just I want to give people a heads up in terms of what's coming.
The forum is this evening from 7 to 8 p.m. at Evergreen Elementary School. Dr. Apostle also shared a little bit about the next Community Pride Night coming up next month to celebrate spring sports.
On March 9th at 5:30 at the Shelton High School campus, and we have a very special event that's going to take place on that night, but we want to make sure that we have a great crowd. It's going to be a very special Community Pride Night for our spring sports athletes and our coaches. I'm very excited about the special event, and maybe some of you have heard about it, but I'm not going to reveal it publicly until maybe next Friday.
You'll hear more about that tomorrow as Dr. Apostle is on Daybreak every Friday morning at 8 to talk about things going on with the school district. For iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Is your family doing some growing? Whether it's an expansion of your home or the addition of a new family car, Peninsula Credit Union can provide fast, friendly service with terrific rates. We offer personal lines of credit, affordable auto loans, and a variety of home loan options to get you moving. Visit our offices in Shelton, Belfair, Paulsbo, Port Orchard, and Port Townsend, or go online to pcfcu.org. At Peninsula Credit Union, our priority is you.
The Tom Hartman Show, live 9 to noon, weekdays on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Eventually, something is going to break through all the lies and all the hundreds of millions of dollars that Koch Industries and ExxonMobil and others have spent funding climate change deniers. Eventually, it's going to break through, and people are going to realize that for the last 40 years, they've been lied to by very wealthy people who are lying to us and allowing people to die just so they can protect their wealth. Not even protect their existing wealth, just so they can make more wealth.
Curry cooking in Miami. Spurs and Cavs win and put an X next to Villanova. Hi, everybody. Todd Ant reporting on sports. Temperatures rose in South Florida as the Heat gave the defending champs a run for their money. Trailing by 1 with 39 seconds left in the game, Warriors guard Steph Curry took care of business.
Hand off to Curry with 10 to shoot. Curry off a screen, takes a three. It's up and good! Curry!
On KNBR, the Warriors get the road win 118-112 in Miami. There were 13 lead changes in the fourth quarter alone. Curry scored 42. The Warriors guard tied an NBA record Wednesday by making a three-pointer in his 127th consecutive regular season game. Golden State is 51-5, and the Spurs are not far behind.
Here's Kawhi the other way. Bounce pass to Parker, lay it up and good. The Spurs can put this one in the back pocket.
On WOAI, Tony Parker scored 23. San Antonio beat the Kings 108-92 in Sacramento. Spurs are 48-9. To college hoops, X marks the loss for top-ranked Villanova.
He's down low to Jalen Reynolds. He goes for the dunk. He gets it over the top of Darrell Reynolds with a one-hand tomahawk.
On WLW, fifth-ranked Xavier knocks off number 1 Villanova 90-83. Wisconsin made its case for an NCAA tournament berth.
And the Badgers get another big-time road win. Down goes Iowa.
On Lear Field, and the Badgers knock off 8th-ranked Iowa 67-59 in Iowa City. And Colorado stuns number 9 Arizona.
Catch and shoot for the tie. No good. Colorado wins.
On ESPN, the Buffaloes beat the Wildcats 75-72. NHL, a reversal of fortune for Montreal.
And here comes Eller. Good pass out front. Galchenyuk shoots. He scores. Oh, great setup by Eller to Galchenyuk.
On TSN Radio 690, after taking a 4-1 lead, the struggling Canadians hang on to beat the Capitals 4-3, the best team in the league. And Giants defensive end Jason Pierre-Paul has filed a lawsuit in Miami-Dade County, Florida, against ESPN and reporter Adam Schefter for posting his medical records last summer. Todd Ant, ABC Sports.
Well, for iFIBER ONE News Radio, good Thursday morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey at 7:36. Last night, sports director Sean Wells headed to the friendly confines of South Puget Sound Community College to watch the Clippers basketball games. First of the night was the Lady Clippers, and 4 of them scored in double figures, and South Puget Sound knocked off Tacoma 55-47, keeping them in the playoff hunt. In the second game, the men's game, Tyler Watts led the Clippers with 15 points, and South Puget Sound knocked off Tacoma 78-51. Sports Director Sean Wells will be on the air with us, about a half an hour from right now to talk about those games that he went and saw. Also, he was up at the pitch, Xbox 360 pitch for the Sounders game the other night. So we'll talk about how the Sounders are looking with that new guy. It's supposed to be really darn good. In addition to that, we'll put the wraps on winter sports, including a major award given to the Shelton swim coach. Final regular season Gonzaga game is on the radio this Saturday. They play tonight, but we have a GOP debate for you. So this Saturday, you can hear Gonzaga wrap up the regular season. Pregame at 4:40, tip-off at 5. Coming our way March 3, which is a week from today, as a matter of fact, the WCC tournament gets underway. Now, if Gonzaga is obviously going to be in the tournament because they're in the WCC. If they win that tournament out, then they are given a berth into the NCAA playoffs, which kind of gets underway March 15th. If they don't win the WCC tournament, there are a lot of sports folk, and Sean Wells, our sports director, is one of them, who thinks that they may not even be invited to the tournament this year. I just got an email from where I fill out my brackets. I literally just got it saying, hey, start thinking about doing brackets because it's before you know it. And for those couple weeks there, the whole country is trying to figure out who's going to win where and what. And it's such a mess. Have you ever done that? Pull out a bracket for the basketball?
No, not for basketball.
Maybe we'll get you to do that. Maybe we can find a fun, like a fun one. It doesn't mean anything, and you and I and the listeners can all play together.
All right.
So that sounds like a good idea. 7:39 right now, and we're looking at the forecast. Here's Carol.
Good morning. It's 32. Some patchy fog this morning. Becoming mostly sunny this afternoon. We're going to reach a high of 61. We're going to get some clouds coming in tonight with some rain tomorrow throughout the day. The high will be about 56 Friday. Right now, it's 32.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You, from business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. Daybreak here, 7:40 on iFIBER ONE News Radio. We're going to read this next story coming to us from Wenatchee. And please, if you have anything on this, developed in a lab, trademarked, and focus group tested. Apple growers in Washington are preparing to introduce a brand new apple variety, but as the first Cosmic Crisps is what they're calling them. These first Cosmic Crisp trees are planted next year. The new apple highlights a changing industry where major growers have moved away from relying on few varieties of apples for their income, but many are diversifying their orchards.
They want a niche product that people are willing to pay a higher price for.
Are you sensing this as a trend of other things? There's that craft beer thing. So Washington is one of the top 3 hops producers in the country or something like that. And you definitely see like these niche beers. And for a long time, they got rid of all those extra processes because it's additional. I mean, you have to do a process for each one. It'd be a whole lot cheaper just to make one type.
Well, what if you went to the Oyster Fest and you only got one type of chili? You get 3 types.
So
it's the same type of thing.
I understand this.
Oh, okay.
But when it comes to when the companies make their decisions on what to offer up.
Well, I think that a variety is better. For one thing, it's better for the earth to have a variety instead of it all being mono. And for people, you need a variety of foods, and you need foods. I mean, just all eating the same thing for days on end,
I gotta tell
horrible.
you, I'm not a fan of Red Delicious apples.
I have never been either, unfortunately.
So kind of a waxy.
film, and then they're always so mushy.
Yeah, they're
Granny
just mushy.
Smiths for me.
I love Granny Smiths, but Cosmic Crisp, and there's another one that's not called something.
Honey Crisp?
Honey Crisp, but there's one other one that's
so good.
Yeah, I'll just think of it.
You're listening
Pink
to
Lady.
Daybreak.
What, Pink Lady?
Yeah, really good.
News Radio.
Taylor Shellfish is a proud sponsor of the Environmentally Sound program. For 5 generations, the Taylor family's been stewards of a healthy and prosperous Puget Sound. In partnership with nature, Taylor Shellfish brings you the freshest, most sustainable shellfish you'll ever eat. Visit their store at 136 Southeast Lynch Road. Open daily from 10 to 6, and they're online at TaylorShellfishFarms.com.
Mason County Garbage and Recycling on Johns Prairie here in Shelton is pleased to offer safe and efficient removal services. Mason County Garbage and Recycling is always mindful of environmental standards and is continuously striving for the highest excellence. Mason County Garbage and Recycling, upholding your trust within the community. Questions? Call 426-8729. In Belfair, 275-4590.
You know, this is a good time to subscribe to the Journal. Most importantly, you get a great local newspaper. We were voted the best mid-sized weekly newspaper in the state, which helps you stay connected to your community. And then there is the fact that subscription rates remain low while individual paper prices are increasing for 2016. You can save as much as $40 this year with your subscription. Quality, convenience, and low price. The Journal gives you all that every week. Call 426-4412 or go to masoncounty.com.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Good morning to you. It is Daybreak here at iFIBER 1745. We have had some latest stories from around the Northwest, so Carol's looking on our Twitter feeds to see if there's anything updated. Beautiful picture tweeted out by the Mason County Sheriff's Department. A beautiful morning here in the South Sound, looks like.
Yeah, I was seeing if there was an update on the story about a runaway teen that's in Shelton. You can find that story on our front page of our website. Also, another great local story is the litter cleanup activist is asking the Mason County commissioners for some funding to not help with just the pickup, but to help with the fees when they take all the junk to the landfill.
Sure.
Because that's where it's costing money out of their pocket, about $200 so far.
So I joked earlier that Commissioner Netherland called him a hero, but then didn't do anything about it. Is it the county's responsibility? I mean, or is it a city thing? Because it was within the city limits.
Well, they want to go out beyond the city. I mean, they want to go out beyond the city. So maybe the city and the county could work together.
Because that park and ride that he had talked about cleaning up is not in the city limits.
Right.
It's just right off the interstate.
Right. So I don't know if it's the county or the city, but, maybe somehow they could work together and, keep it going so it gives them, continued motivation.
No, yeah, I get it. And Kevin Schmelzlin, who has been on the air with us a couple times over this story, very engaged and very excited to be a part of the community, it seems like.
Yeah. And he has a Shelton to the Top Facebook page. You can find that link on our website. Another activist in the news, Tom Davis, was back at the Tuesday meeting asking the county commissioners to reconsider their decision, allowing them to meet in other counties or locations. So he's still very interested in trying to get it to be a 15-day notice instead of a 24-hour day notice.
I think you have a solution looking for a problem. Commissioner Tim Sheldon told him, this is my 12th year as a county commissioner. I cannot think of another meeting, any meeting that we have had on our commission with another commission outside of the county or inside the county. Well, is that because they just made the law that lets them do this?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure where he's going with that. But he did say he'd give Davis a ride if he was going to a meeting and Davis needed one.
Oh, man. If that happens, I want to go. I want to be in that car. I want to be part of that car ride.
Okay.
747 here at iFIBER One News Radio. We have got more stories from the Associated Press around Washington. This story from Everett regarding the 2014 shootings at Marysville Pilchuck High School. The father of the boy who did the shootings is now serving a 2-year sentence in California. It was the father's guns that 15-year-old the 15-year-old used at Marysville Pilchuck. But the guy had a restraining order from 2002. And if you had that restraining order, it meant that he was prohibited from owning guns.
Right.
So that's how that part of the case
Well, do we
worked
know
out.
why he's sentenced in California?
Not
versus
sure. Maybe that's
Washington?
where the restraining order came from. King County High School cheerleading coach facing charges that he sent nude photos of himself to 2 male students on the cheer squad. Reports are that Benjamin Canty of Auburn is charged with 2 counts of communication with a minor for immoral purposes, a volunteer coach at Kentwood High.
New York authorities say Washington State man, his brother and sister-in-law are charged with defrauding the feds of about $8 million from 30 research grants. The U.S. Attorney's Office says Harry Wynn of Pullman and the others received grants from federal agencies that were supposed to be used to develop asphalt composition techniques. Instead, he put them in his personal account. And that's too bad because I think that asphalt composition technology is a good thing for our roads.
Is that the stuff where you can throw a puddle of water on asphalt and it sinks through?
Yeah.
Very porous?
Yeah, more of like an organic type of a deal for our roadways.
Yeah. That's awesome.
$8 million. I wonder if he spent any of it already.
I don't know.
About some new TVs or something.
30 research grants,
Yeah,
huh?
it's
$8
crazy.
million bucks. Another, not like a silly story, but it's on our offbeat from the Associated Press, but it has to do with Issaquah. A woman was at a restaurant, a seafood restaurant, Italian place in Issaquah. So she's having her meal, bites into something. First thing first, everybody thinks of, what is this? What did she just bite into?
I would think rocks first, and then maybe I'd think bone.
My first thought is Band-Aid and then bone.
Well, Band-Aid is not solid.
Yeah, but it's a foreign substance in that bite.
But if it was a solid Band-Aid, that's even grosser.
Lindsay Hans and her husband Chris, eating at a place in Issaquah, bit something hard into her entree. I can see where you're talking about bone. Turns out that it is a quahog purple pearl. And this guy from the Northwest Geological Lab says the find is rare and only 1 in a couple million being of gem quality. And this was.
Yeah.
$600 is about how much it's worth. The owner said that they're happy for the lady and probably happy they're not suing the restaurant. And they're going to make the pearl into a pearl necklace.
I've never found anything like that in my food. You?
No.
Have you found a hair?
I mean, everybody's found hairs and things.
In a restaurant?
Yes.
And what'd you do? Just ate it.
Push it off to the side. I mean, you could make some determinations of where you feel it could have,
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often.
How about a bug? Yeah, it's protein.
Bug once in a iced tea down in Portland, and a fly in our drink, and if I remember correct, no, it was an open glass. The people were really flippant about it too.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One
Added
Radio.
Protein.
Longer daylight hours seem to make everyone a little more cheerful. As we leave the year's darkest months behind, we share some more good news from the Old Farmer's Almanac. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Friday, February 26th, the 57th day of the year. Comedy legend Jackie Gleason was born 100 years ago, and country music icon Johnny Cash would have turned 84 today. You've surely noticed the days growing longer recently, and the rate of increase will only pick up speed in the weeks to come. That's good news for those who struggle with depression brought on by a deficit of light. And here's more good news. Light therapy, a standard treatment for seasonal depression, appears to be an effective treatment for non-seasonal depression. A carefully controlled study found that light therapy is often as effective as medication. It's much safer than a drug, too, with fewer side effects. That is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Learn more and get our advice of the day online at almanac.com.
Hi guys, Kat here with iFIBER ONE Newsradio. What if I told you that radio advertising is far more effective than print media? Think about all of your customers driving to work, appointments, or events. all the while listening to the radio. Imagine your commercial airs on iFIBER ONE News Radio, and the customer decides, hey, I'm right by there. I'm going to go check it out. Radio captures you and literally speaks to you and your customers several times a day. This enables you to build a unique message that reminds your customers what you have to offer. Remember, your customers can either drive to you or through you. And here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, we want to direct customers to you. Being the only talk radio formatted station in the entire South Sound region, we have an entire new market for your business to advertise in. As your sales lady, I take pride in providing your business with the best advertising because I want your business to succeed. So call me today at 360-463-2558 and ask for Kat.
iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
Well, good morning to you. It's Daybreak here at iFIBER ONE, 753. 8 o'clock brings us ABC News. Marilyn Foster, after that, we'll check some sports scores, have some detailed local sports conversations with Sports Director Sean Wells at 8:15. Check the morning stock numbers just before the 8:30 news. And then Mark Ziegler from the City of Shelton Parks and Rec Department will be in. Empty Bowls is starting back up. Wednesday, the 2nd, the 9th, and the 16th. They're going to be doing it in 3 consecutive weeks this year, as opposed to every other week that they've done in years past. So the first night, the 2nd, come on down to the Civic Center, and you can make a bowl. The next night, the 9th, they will be fired in the kiln, and you can come and paint it to make it look really pretty. Make sure you put a bunch of coats on. Talk more about that later. And then the 16th is the final day. That's when everybody comes back, and you can then use the bowls that you made to fill it with chili or soups or breads from the local eateries around town. It's all a great cause, fundraiser, Saints Pantry, and things like that. So Mark Ziegler coming in a little less than an hour from right now to talk about the upcoming Angry Birds, I think is where I was saying. No, Empty Bowls. All right, 7:55 at iFIBER ONE. Tonight at 3, we jump down to the great state of Texas for the next big debate in the GOP. Trump off his 3rd win in the primaries. Rubio looking to maybe knock him off as he is starting to become the establishment candidate. Cruz still looking to place. He has to place well in Texas. I mean, it's his home state. He's up by, I think, 15 in the last poll that I saw. However, it was an older poll. So it was before last weekend's events. So there are debate on the air. Trump, Rubio, Cruz, Kasich, and Carson. CNN, Salem Radio Network, we've all partnered together to bring the radio debate for you on the air tonight. There are some things that we need to look at and listen for tonight.
Well, they say Kasich is under pressure from some Republicans just to get out of the race. So Rubio can try to increase his hold.
Because Kasich is an establishment guy. That's what they're saying. He was an Ohio governor, and he was in the 90s with Newt when they balanced the budget. That's always his big line, is I was here when we did that stuff. So the Republican National Committee doesn't feel that Kasich can get anywhere.
That's what I'm reading. Okay. And Ben Carson, he says he's going out. He's not going to,
He's going for it.
He's going for it. He's not going to stop. So, Trump is on a roll.
He has 3 big wins. Everybody that attacks him, he crushes. We've seen, everybody that's left hasn't really gone after him very hard.
Right. But they say the last 6 months haven't really shown more people swayed toward him. The Republicans swayed toward him. It's sort of the same amount of Republicans. He's still sort of keeping the same amount, but he's never lost momentum.
About 30% or so.
Yeah.
So people are wondering where once folks start dropping off even more, where they're going to go to.
Right.
Mitt Romney came out yesterday. He's starting to coalesce towards Rubio, find the establishment there, and he called into, I think,
Neil Cavuto's show on Fox saying, hey, we think there could be a bombshell in Donald's taxes. You know, maybe he's not giving to charity as much as he says. Maybe he's not worth as much as he says. A lot of the other talking heads, his voters don't care. They don't care that he's had divorces. They don't care that he's had bankruptcies. They don't care that he may or may not. They like what he has to say. And even he can even get away with some similar thoughts a la Bernie Sanders. I mean, with the trade thing and the Obamacare
Something
thing,
about an immigration
thing. He's like, well, I'm open to talking about this stuff. It's so amazing what he's doing. Cruz, so Rubio has to hit him hard today. And we'll see what happens if there's another Control-Alt-Delete for Rubio later, if he has another stumble. I don't know, it'd be interesting.
It is hard to say. I mean, and yeah, his people, Trump's supporters, I mean, they don't care how rude he gets. They seem to like him all the better for it. And
well, he just says stuff, and it's what people think, but nobody says.
Yeah.
Like when he talked at the campaign rally, there was a protester. He goes, "Man, I'd like to punch him in the face." It's hard to believe a president saying that to a heckler.
Yeah. What if
like
he
in a
says
foreign
it
country
to somebody in Russia? You know, to the president in Russia.
Yeah.
Or something.
Punch you in the face.
Yeah. Nice.
3 o'clock is when we join the coverage with CNN and the Salem Radio Network. The debate gets underway at 5, so there'll be a nice pre-ramp up to the debate right here on iFIBER One News Radio. It's 8 o'clock.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Tobert, your advertising consultant from iFIBER One News Radio. Are you missing customers because you only market to a specific group? iFIBER One News Radio can help you hit a larger group of buyers with our diverse audience. We are 24 hours of local and national breaking news, award-winning talk radio, and primetime sports, including local high school sports. What does this mean to you? This means our listeners listen longer to entire programs and don't switch to another station when a commercial comes on. Our coverage in the Puget Sound area hits over 500,000 listeners, including Mason County, Thurston County, Grace Harbor County, King, Pierce, Joint Base Lewis McCord, and Kitsap County to the Bremerton Naval Base. All advertising is 100% tax deductible. So how can you afford not to advertise? Call me, Mark Tobert, at iFIBER One News Radio to become a total audience plan advertiser. Just call 360-426-1030.
Alex Jones and InfoWars on from 6 to 9 weekdays on iFIBER One News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 103.3 KMAS Shelton.
ABC News, I'm Karen Chase. Calling it the toughest question he's seen in government, FBI Director James Comey told the House Intelligence Committee why it's so important for Apple to unlock the iPhone of one of the San Bernardino shooters.
In our criminal investigative work, increasing situations where we cannot, with lawful court orders, read the communications of terrorists, gangbangers, pedophiles, all different kinds of bad people.
Apple CEO Tim Cook is refusing, saying it would put your personal information at risk by creating a back door that would let other terrorists enter.
We need to stand tall and stand tall on principle. There's probably more information about you on your phone than there is in your house.
Meanwhile, Apple is said to be working on a new iPhone with stronger encryption. Virginia is under a state of emergency after a tornado struck the town of Waverly with deadly force. 4 people were killed, including 3 inside a trailer that was tossed hundreds of feet. ABC's Roxy Bustamante reports from Tappahannock, where a reported twister touched down.
There are power lines down, several homes completely wiped out in a total loss. Family members and survivors are staying at the middle school, trying to take shelter and figure out how they're going to pick up the pieces.
Snow fell too fast and furiously in Illinois, where a number of motorists got stranded on a highway. Snow that crippled O'Hare Airport forced the cancellations of about 4,000 flights. A Coast Guard crew rushing to the rescue of a fishing vessel calling for help ended up needing rescue as well when their ship ran aground off New York. A Coast Guard chopper ferried all to safety. In a chilling video, ISIS is threatening the lives of Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg and Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey in retaliation for blocking its messages. He's known as the Rogaine Robber. Ohio police are looking for a bald man caught on surveillance camera stealing hair growth medication from drugstores. They suspect he wants to sell it online. This is ABC News.
Honey, I'm really worried about our retirement funds.
Oh, me too. We lost so much value in the recession in the stock market. I'm worried we won't have enough to retire.
Jim next door told me that he had set up a new kind of IRA with a gold silver group. He said how simple and safe it was. It's a private storage IRA, and we could have real gold and silver in our hands.
Really? You mean we can actually see it and touch it?
Absolutely. Jim said we could have all the benefits of an IRA to help build our retirement income. Bottom line, we would own a real tangible asset, and we would have the security of knowing we're protected no matter what the economy does. What do you think?
I think we need to find out how to get our own private storage IRA. We need to call the Gold Silver Group right now.
Are you ready to protect your future? Call 800-295-6803 now to find out how easy and safe it is to set up a private storage IRA with Gold Silver Group, and find out how you can qualify for up to $700 in free silver. All transactions are privately delivered and fully insured. Please call us now. 800-295-6803. 800-295-6803.
Florida health officials are investigating the cases of 3 pregnant women who've tested positive for Zika. More from ABC's Samantha Jordan.
That brings the state's total to 32 cases of the mosquito-borne illness, and Florida Surgeon General Dr. John Armstrong expects that number to rise.
We work to keep the public informed as one of the best ways to calm fears and educate for action.
A public health emergency has been declared in all Florida counties where Zika has been found. All of the cases so far have been travel-related, but the virus can spread by bites from mosquitoes that are common in Florida. Early trials of a vaccine could begin this summer. Samantha Jordan, ABC News.
When Lady Gaga sings at the Oscars this Sunday, she'll be introed by Vice President Joe Biden. She's nominated for an Oscar for her song Till It Happens to You from a documentary called The Hunting Ground, which focuses on college campus assaults. Biden's office says he'll use his introduction to urge Americans to speak out about the issue and support the government's It's On Us campaign against domestic violence. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The Mason County Sheriff's Office is looking for a 14-year-old runaway from the Olympia area who's believed to be in Shelton. Tyler A. Jackson is described as 4'8" in height and weighing 65 pounds. He has blue eyes and light brown hair. Jackson has a warrant for his arrest out of Lewis County Juvenile Court. You can see a picture of him on our website, iFIBER1newsradio.com. If anyone sees Jackson or knows of his location, you're asked to call 911. 35th District Representative Drew McEwen called into Daybreak to talk about the House leader's decision not to impeach State Auditor Troy Kelly.
You know, I could have exercised my right as a member to push it forward to a floor vote through a procedural motion, and it would have failed because you don't break on a procedural vote. It wouldn't have gotten further. It would have given me a last stand, so to speak. It would have inflamed what are already fragile relations between the House and the Senate. So begrudgingly, I chose to be a team player and not do that, and I compromised. They did this letter to Mr. Kelly once again to please resign, and I think we all know he's not going to. And
right.
You know, he goes to trial in a couple weeks, and again, the impeachment had nothing to do with his federal charges. It had everything to do with him, frankly, abandoning the office and giving his authority to a non-elected individual, and that was the crux of it. And I believe that our case for that was strong. It had bipartisan support, but the way these things go.
Kelly is fighting federal charges of tax evasion, money laundering, and perjury. The next community open house for Shelton schools will focus on levies and bonds. Superintendent Dr. Alex Apostle explains more.
But we'll focus on on our bond and the needs associated with a bond if we were to run it here in the near future. And of course, we've got to run a levy, which basically takes care of our daily expenses. We're going to run that in February 2017. So just I want to give people a heads up in terms of what's coming.
The forum is this evening from 7 to 8 p.m. at Evergreen Elementary School. Dr. Apostle also shared a little bit about the next Community Pride Night coming up next month to celebrate spring sports.
On March 9th at 5:30 at the Shelton High School campus, and we have a very special event that's going to take place on that night, but we want to make sure that we have a great crowd. It's going to be a very special Community Pride Night for our spring sports athletes and our coaches. I'm very excited about the special event, and maybe some of you have heard about it, but I'm not going to reveal it publicly until maybe next Friday.
You'll hear more about that tomorrow as Dr. Apostle is on Daybreak every Friday morning at 8 to talk about things going on with the school district. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. Saturdays at 5, Sundays at 6 on iFIBER One News Radio.
We have a universe that's expanding like a balloon. And in every astronomy class, the professor takes out a balloon, gets a felt pen, and puts little spirals on the balloon called galaxies. And there we are sitting in the Milky Way galaxy. And then the astronomy professor begins to blow up the balloon. And sure enough, the distance between the balloons expands. So the universe is expanding.
Hi, I'm Ken Slater, the Roof Doctor. If you're like me, your family's important, so make sure that they're well taken care of. One of the best ways to do that is to provide a safe and warm home to live in. For over 50 years, the Roof Doctor has been helping families stay safe and warm by building roofs that last for generations. Our teams have some of the most experienced roofers in the area, and we only use the highest quality materials to keep your family safe, warm, and dry. That's the Roof Doctor. Give us a call.
For iFIBER One News Radio, AM 1030, FM 103.3, streamed online at iFIBER1Newsradio.com, also via the Facebook and Twitter and iFIBER One Radio. Our Facebook is facebook.com/1030KMAS. Watch the show on YouTube. It sounds like we're everywhere these days. Good morning to you. We are checking sports stories, and Sports Director Sean Wells will be in about 7 or 8 minutes here to talk about the Sounders, the winter sports recap, and a little bit more. Last night he was watching the South Puget Sound Community College basketball teams play, and the Lady Clippers beat Tacoma last night 55-47. That keeps them in the playoff hunt. 4 of the Lady Clippers scored in double figures. In the men's games that started after that, Tyler Watts led the Clippers with 15, and South Puget Sound knocked off Tacoma 78-51. Sean will have video highlights from both games on our website, iFIBER1Newsradio.com. Other scores for you in collegiate basketball: Oregon, number 13, Oregon over Wazoo, 76-62, and Oregon State over the Huskies of Washington, 82-81. Final regular season Gonzaga game we have on the radio for you is Saturday. The pregame at 4:40, tip-off at 5 in the evening. They do play tonight, but we've got a GOP debate on for you. Coverage starts at 3, and this is the last debate before Super Tuesday. 8:10 now. Here's Carol looking at the forecast.
Good morning. It's 35. There's going to be some patchy fog for your drive in this morning, and it'll become mostly sunny this afternoon, a high of 61. Tomorrow, the clouds start coming in this evening, and then tomorrow morning and throughout the day, there will be some occasional rain. It'll be a high of 56 tomorrow, and right now it's 35.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
8:11 at iFIBER One News Radio. And again, we are streaming the show today and every day on our YouTube channel. You can search for us there or find the video link right on the front page of iFIBER1Newsradio.com. Some news coming out of the Seattle school districts just about 20 minutes ago. Seattle school officials say 5 of their high schools received what Seattle police are calling a hoax. Again, a hoax robocall. 4 schools were already out for the day when the call came in yesterday afternoon. Police did go to all 5 schools to investigate, found nothing to concern. It was Roosevelt, Ingram, Nathan Hale, Ballard, and Garfield. School district spokeswoman Stacey Howard says after-school activities continued as usual. And this is similar to that story when all the LA schools got shut down. Well, at the same time that was happening, New York public schools got almost the exact same call. And New York decided to keep things open. LA decided to shut things down. And it's really, I think, based on the intelligence that the police are there to offer, the feeling that the superintendent gets regarding the situation, how to proceed on that one. And
it's a robo type
That's what it sounded like, which means to me it was not all happening at the same time, but there was a scripted element to this. So very interesting.
Yeah.
Again, though, it was a hoax robocall.
State wildlife officials are beginning a wildlife status review on species that are listed by the state as endangered, threatened, or sensitive. The Department of Fish and Wildlife is going to collect public comments through the end of February in 2017 on a whole bunch of different types of animals. So they're looking for certain information, and I will have that on our website later today.
All right. Sports Director Sean Wells coming in right after this break on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
It's the Las Vegas Getaway Giveaway, Saturday nights the 13th and 27th at the Lucky Dog Casino. 2 lucky winners will win a trip for 2 to Vegas, baby. Free bingo on Wednesday afternoons beginning at 1, and in the North Fork Grill, prime rib Saturdays from 4 till 9. A special Valentine's Day dinner Sunday, February 14th, minutes north of Shelton on Highway 101. It's the Lucky Dog Casino.
If you're looking for a new venue to watch your favorite sports, come check out the El Serape Cantina. Take in the classy Day of the Dead ambiance and enjoy your favorite sports on the large projector screen or 4K Ultra HD TVs. Warm up by the fire or shoot some pool on the beautifully crafted pool tables. Join the Cantina for Dollar Taco Tuesdays and bring out your inner rock star on Karaoke Wednesdays. With so much to offer, the Cantina is the place to be. Located on Railroad in downtown Shelton, right next to the El Serape restaurant.
Hi, this is Terry Allen with a look at the community calendar on iFIBER One News Radio. Nonprofits post your upcoming events on iFIBER1newsradio.com. Shelton Elks holds a bingo night every Thursday. Play begins at 6 p.m. Food and beverage is available. Open to the public at 741 Southeast Craig Road. Doors open at 5 p.m. For iFIBER One News Radio, I'm Terry Allen.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
8:15 at iFIBER One, and good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey, along with Carol Gardner. Hi, Carol.
Good morning, Jeff.
Normally we have Sports Director Sean Wells in at 8:30, but we've been finding there's a lot more local sports to talk about, so we gave him his own little segment spot here, 8:15. So we have a little more time to discuss things that are going on. Morning, Sean.
Good morning.
Sounds like you found time at South Puget Sound Community College last night to see the Clipper basketball teams play.
Yeah, a couple of big games with playoff implications on the line. South Puget Sound Lady Clippers played first, taking on Tacoma. And they had 4 players scoring double figures as they won 55-47, a really balanced offensive attack and played some great defense as well. They needed to win this one at home, and it really it's going to prove well. But a big game this Saturday. They're on the road at Lower Columbia. If they get the win there, they'll host a playoff game next week. If they lose that game, things are a little tricky. It depends on the outcome of a Highline game.
Oh, wow.
Depending on where their seating is. But so that's a huge game for them this Saturday. And the men's team went on and won 78-51. Just really took it to it. Took to Tacoma. I think they're in second place right now in their division. I have to check on that, but they are playing some great basketball. And their leading scorer was Tyler Watts, had 15 points, and just looked like things are really clicking for that team right now.
That's great. I saw the feature profile that you put out on the website for the 2 Shelton players who now are on the Clippers lady basketball team.
Yep, they had some good minutes last night and some playing time, and they they're contributing, key players on that team as they look to make this playoff push.
Very cool, very cool. Earlier in the week, the Sounders were up in the part of the CONCACAF quarterfinals. You had a chance to go to that game, and how do the Sounders look this season, you think?
They, it's
got that
tough.
new guy, right?
Jordan Morris,
Okay.
their new stud from Stanford. He plays on the national team. But, it's tough to tell because it was their first actual game that meant something. They've played a few preseason games, but their first game that was for something. As in America, out of Mexico City, they've played about 7 or 8 conference or regular season games so far, so they have a little bit more experience on the season. Sounders had some rust for sure, but Clint Dempsey had a couple of great goals, one off a place kick that was just remarkable in the upper corner of the net. And, Morris, he didn't get too involved. He had a couple nice touches and set up some teammates, but I'll look for him to grow with this team as he gets more experience. And, they got a big test, though, next Wednesday when they travel down to Mexico City for that second leg of that CONCACAF Champions League quarterfinal. So that's a tough place to play. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Why would the America team have already been playing a couple games and the Sounders are just getting into it?
Well, their season starts, earlier.
Oh.
They've been going on for a couple months now.
Okay.
And that's just the way this works. Most leagues have been going on, EPL, Bundesliga, La Liga in Spain. The top leagues, their schedule is a lot different than the MLS. MLS is kind of on their own playing this, spring through summer to early fall, whereas the summer, that's when most of these other top divisions, that's their off time.
They're done.
So there's been a lot of backlash about the MLS just for that, because it really distributes or disturbs their time with their national team.
Yeah.
People getting caught up in these different games at different times. And, it's interesting, but as for now, it doesn't look like there's going to be any change. Well, they're going to stay as is, but down the road, I think they would like to have that same schedule as most of these other top leagues.
Where is MLS in the top 5 or 6 national sports? We got football 1, baseball 2, basketball 3, hockey 4.
Hockey 4, maybe even racing is above soccer.
Soccer.
Soccer isn't there nationally yet. There's some growing, fan support, and it's big. It's big in certain areas. I think Seattle is definitely, a difference maker.
Yeah.
And Portland's growing too as well. But they really need to keep pushing, keep developing fans and players at a young age, and it is the biggest sport in the world everywhere else, but not here. So we'll see if that changes in the next few years. But you can't beat football, not in America.
Right.
Football is the king, and baseball is America's pastime, and basketball is just so exciting to watch. But soccer's growing, but definitely not on the top of the list.
Winter sports just wrapped up, and the High Climbers and North Mason, you've been covering them all this winter. Some good results from the winter sports.
Yeah, 3 wrestlers from Shelton placed in the top 8 in the state. Colton Paller placed 4th, I believe, at 195 pounds. Madeline Meacham placed 6th, and Alec Makey placed 6th as well. And then for North Mason, Nico Ramirez placed 5th. I think that he was at about 285 pounds. So some big time places for these young athletes. Big success. That's bodes well going into next year, as a couple of these players were just juniors.
Oh, wow.
It was nice to see those guys place at state. And then swimming, we had 3 divers for Shelton place at state this year, which was a big deal. That was John Netzel finished 2nd.
In state overall?
Overall in state, yeah. Troy Crumples finished 6th, and Zach Netzel finished 7th. So big-time performances there by these high climbers. And Chad Youngquist, the swimming coach, was named the 3A Coach of the Year.
Wow, that's pretty impressive for the whole state of Washington.
Yes, so very, very cool, very great accolades for these players, and something to build on for these programs as they go into the off season.
So do these players? Does these types of sports go farther than state? like regionals, nationals? Do they keep going like that, or is this sort of the...
As far as I know, it ends at state.
It ends at state.
But there may be some sort of, I know in basketball they do kind of, it just started a few years ago, but they do a national tournament with the state winners, the top team in each state. I know Rainier Beach out of Seattle played in it, I think, last year, and they lost early on. But I don't know if they do that for swimming. I'd have to check on that, but yeah.
It's 8:22 right now. We're talking with sports director Sean Wells, who has been making time at all various sporting events here through the winter sports season. We have got a spring community pride night coming up in 2 weeks here in town, and that will be when we can focus our attention then to spring sports, which include, there's some golf going on, some more swimming, I believe, and boys tennis, or...
Yeah, I think there's boys soccer in the spring, baseball, softball, golf, and some tennis as well. Yeah, I don't know about the swimming, but there might be. But yeah, that's coming up. I think practice starts next week, so these teams will be getting out here. Weather's getting nicer.
Yeah,
it's Mariners are starting spring training. It's baseball, softball time, so I know people are getting pretty excited. And I'm excited to get out there and meet these coaches and players and see how the season goes.
Speaking of meeting the coaches, you're going to have a chance to talk with the state coach of the year in 3A for Shelton. You're going to meet with Coach Youngquist here today?
Yeah, I'll meet with Coach Youngquist today, so make sure you check our website here in the next few days. We'll have a little feature on him, and then later today we'll have a recap video of the Lady Clippers and the men's team from last night playing Tacoma. And if you missed it, earlier this week, we had a recap video of the MAC Classic, where we have interviews with the Shelton players and coaches and North Mason head coach Bill McCarty. So go check that. That's on our website.
8:23 at iFIBER One. Thank you for all the work that you're doing so far. I love having you in the community, and we hear a lot from community folks about. So nice to see you and Jeff Chu now making splashes and impacts around the area.
Yeah, having a blast. Thanks for having me.
8:25 right now. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get to the morning stock numbers in a few moments. Marilyn Foster has the news. ABC Sports will provide us with an update. And Mark Ziegler still from Shelton Parks and Rec in about 20 minutes.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One Newsradio.
iFIBER Communications, the fastest internet provider in Washington State, has just opened their doors here in Mason County and got their first local customers signed up. James, tell me about your experience.
From the first time I learned of iFIBER to the day I got hooked up, even now, I felt that my fiber connection and the service given to me have been the #1 most important job to every member of the iFIBER team. And not just because I was first in line with my nose pressed up to the glass waiting for a company to take my money.
What differences have you noticed?
I get what I pay for. With non-fiber solutions, you're paying up to the top and never get a constant number anywhere near that top. With fiber, you certainly do. With iFIBER, you get it at a competitive and affordable price.
Why should others sign up for iFIBER Internet?
Well, iFIBER has made a commitment to Mason County. They're working hard to bring fast speeds to everyone at an affordable price. And now with phones and television, your bill will be all in one place with no hidden fees or sudden price changes to surprise you month to month like other all-in-one service providers.
Get signed up for iFIBER Communications today by calling 360-427-4000 or visit iFIBER.tv for more information.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
8:26 at iFIBER One Daybreak. Jeff Slakey and Carol Gardner. Carol's on the Twitter sphere here. Got a tweet to pass along.
Yeah, both directions, no McCleary, fully blocked, use alternate routes. That's from the DOT. That was about 25 minutes ago. Fire crews were attending to a small fluid spill at a rollover on State Road 108 in Grays Harbor. So if you are heading that direction, make sure you check with DOT's website to make sure if it's cleared. Right now, I haven't gotten the word that it's clear yet. So use alternate routes if you're heading that way.
Wow.
Right now, yeah.
Both directions of State Route 108. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Quite a picture there that you can see. And we have got our emergency lists that you can get a part of to find out all this information. Wow, some big photos.
Yeah, rollover of a big rig, it looks like.
Trooper Russ Winger is posting those.
Chip hauler rollover.
Oh, a chip hauler rollover. Oh, people know what that means.
Yeah, non-life-threatening injuries. The driver was transported by age, but it said expect long closure because, that's they got to clean all that mess up and move it.
Huge truck on them.
Yeah.
Flipped over on the side. Goodness. Okay. Time for us to check in on the morning stock numbers. So say good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
We're well.
Yeah, you sound a little stuffed up.
I was just a second ago. I'm not quite sure what that was all about.
Oh, you're allergic to Carol. Sorry, Carol.
Is that what the problem has been? Oh, my God.
I get blamed for everything.
Kidding.
It's been 2 months, and I've been trying to find out what this problem is.
Well, the allergy is, yeah. No, you know what? My allergies are kind of going wacko because my car was filled with pollen yesterday. So
mine are too. Oh, my goodness. Carol, you get allergies?
Nope.
Oh,
God, you lucky girl.
Only to me. You are so lucky. I take a pill every day.
Yeah, so do I.
Every day of the year. It doesn't matter if it's summer or winter.
I know.
A couple days after I stop it, my eyes close up.
Yeah.
Woof.
Okay, I'm not that far yet.
Woof.
Not that bad yet.
All right. Are we allergic to good numbers on Wall Street?
Let's hope not.
Okay.
U.S. stocks are a little changed this morning as investors weigh earnings and economic data. In economic news this morning, initial jobless claims increased more than expected, but continuing claims declined in line with expectations. In a separate report, durable goods orders increased much higher than expectations in January. Treasury prices are gaining this morning on mixed economic data. So far this morning, the S&P 500, the best performing sector is telecom, while the worst performing sector is energy. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 3 points at 16,481. The Standard & Poor's 500 Index is up 2 points at 1,932. And the NASDAQ Composite Index is down 11 points at 4,531. This morning, volume on the New York Stock Exchange is moderate with 249 million shares being traded, and advancers and decliners are evenly matched on the day. In commodity markets, the spot price of gold is up $9.97 to $1,238.72. The spot price of silver is down 6 cents to $15.18, and crude oil prices are down 78 cents to $31.37. In the bond markets, the 30-year Treasury yield is currently 2.57%, and the 10-year Treasury yield is 1.70%. Stocks of local interest: Amazon is down $4.08. Costco is down 14 cents. Boeing is up 97 cents. Starbucks is up 10 cents, and Microsoft is down 30 cents. This is Karen Shade of Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and long-term financial advice. I'm located at 1051 Southeast State Route 3 in Shelton. If you'd like additional information, you can contact me at 426-4590, and daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
All right, Karen, have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 8:30 here at iFIBER One News Radio. Marilyn Foster has the latest in local news, and it's brought to you right now by Fred Holmes Tree Service. Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The Mason County Sheriff's Office is looking for a 14-year-old runaway from the Olympia area who's believed to be in Shelton. Tyler A. Jackson is described as 4'8" in height and weighing 65 pounds. He has blue eyes and light brown hair. Jackson has a warrant for his arrest out of Lewis County Juvenile Court. You can see a picture of him on our website, iFIBER1newsradio.com. If anyone sees Jackson or knows of his location, you're asked to call 911. 35th District Representative Drew McEwen called into Daybreak to talk about the House leader's decision not to impeach State Auditor Troy Kelly.
I could have exercised my right as a member to push it forward to a floor vote through a procedural motion, and it would have failed because you don't break on a procedural vote. It wouldn't have gotten further. It would have given me a last stand, so to speak. It would have inflamed what are already fragile relations between the House and the Senate. So begrudgingly, I chose to be a team player and not do that. And a compromise, they did this letter to Mr. Kelly once again to please resign. And I think we all know he's not going to. And,
right.
you know, he goes to trial in a couple weeks. And again, the impeachment had nothing to do with his federal charges. It had everything to do with him, frankly, abandoning the office and giving his authority to a non-elected individual, and that was the crux of it. And I believe that our case for that was strong. It had bipartisan support, but it's the way these things go.
Kelly is fighting federal charges of tax evasion, money laundering, and perjury. The next community open house for Shelton schools will focus on levies and bonds. Superintendent Dr. Alex Apostle explains more.
But we'll focus on on our bond and the needs associated with a bond if we were to run it here in the near future. And of course, we've got to run a levy, which basically takes care of our daily expenses. We're going to run that in February 2017. So just I want to give people a heads up in terms of what's coming.
The forum is this evening from 7 to 8 p.m. at Evergreen Elementary School. Dr. Apostle also shared a little bit about the next Community Pride Night coming up next month to celebrate spring sports.
On March 9th at 5:30 at the Shelton High School campus, and we have a very special event that's going to take place on that night, but we want to make sure that we have a great crowd. It's going to be a very special Community Pride Night for our spring sports athletes and our coaches. I'm very excited about the special event, and maybe some of you have heard about it, but I'm not going to reveal it publicly until maybe next Friday.
You'll hear more about that tomorrow as Dr. Apostle is on Daybreak every Friday morning at 8 to talk about things going on with the school district. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
This is Doug Sample from Whitney Chevrolet. Taxes are on everyone's mind. Make the most of your tax refund at Whitney Chevrolet in Montesano, where the sales tax is lower than most places in the state. Plus other dealers, factory costs are more because they roll into the cost of the advertising. We don't do that, but we do offer lifetime oil changes on every new and used vehicle. Stop by or visit WhitneyChev.com.
A $150 negotiable document fee may be added to the price of all vehicles.
Just down the road to Whitney.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Get Kornowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corners, Nelson driving baseline and a two-handed throw down dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with two hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network. Curry cooking in Miami. Spurs and Cavs win and put an X next to Villanova. Hi, everybody. Todd Ant reporting on sports. Temperatures rose in South Florida as the Heat gave the defending champs a run for their money. Trailing by 1 with 39 seconds left in the game, Warriors guard Steph Curry took care of business.
Hand off to Curry with 10 to shoot. Curry off a screen, takes a three. It's up. It's good. Curry!
On KNBR, the Warriors get the road win 118-112 in Miami. There were 13 lead changes in the fourth quarter alone. Curry scored 42. The Warriors guard tied an NBA record Wednesday by making a three-pointer in his 127th consecutive regular season game. Golden State is 51-5, and the Spurs are not far behind.
Here's Kawhi the other way. Bounce pass to Parker. Lay it up and good. The Spurs can put this one in the back pocket.
On WOAI, Tony Parker scored 23. San Antonio beat the Kings 108-92 in Sacramento. Spurs are 48-9. To college hoops, X marks the loss for top-ranked Villanova.
Feed down low to Jalen Reynolds. He gets it over the top of Darryl Reynolds with a one-hand tomahawk.
On WLW, fifth-ranked Xavier knocks off number 1 Villanova 90-83. Wisconsin made its case for an NCAA tournament berth.
And the Badgers get another big-time road win. Down goes Iowa.
On Lear Field, and the Badgers knock off 8th-ranked Iowa 67-59 in Iowa City. And Colorado stuns number 9 Arizona.
Catch and shoot for the tie. No good. Colorado wins.
On ESPN, the Buffaloes beat the Wildcats 75-72. NHL, a reversal of fortune for Montreal.
And here comes Eller. Good pass out front. Galchenyuk shoots. He scores. Oh, great setup by Eller to Galchenyuk.
On TSN Radio 690, after taking a 4-1 lead, the struggling Canadians hang on to beat the Capitals 4-3, the best team in the league. And Giants defensive end Jason Pierre-Paul has filed a lawsuit in Miami-Dade County, Florida, against ESPN and reporter Adam Schefter for posting his medical records last summer. Todd Ant,
ABC Sports.
Congratulations to Coach Youngquist for Shelton Swimming, 3A Swimming Coach of the Year. Sports Director Sean Wells will be heading up to the high school later today to talk with him about that accolade. We just got wrapped up with Sean on winter sports. Looking at that, he also was at the South Puget Sound Community College campus last night watching the Clippers basketball programs. Lady Clips beat Tacoma 55-47. And in the men's game, South Puget Sound again victorious, 78-51. Other collegiate basketball scorers for you: number 13 Oregon over Washington State, 76-62, and Oregon State beats Washington, 82-81. Today is a Gonzaga basketball game. It's the penultimate game of this regular season. We do have the final regular season game on the radio this Saturday, 4:40 the pregame and the tip-off at 5. Tonight on iFIBER ONE Newsradio, the next GOP debate. We've teamed up with CNN and Salem Radio to bring you the next GOP debate tonight live from Texas. Coverage starts at 3, and I believe Hugh Hewitt, Wolf Blitzer, and Dana Bash are going to be the moderators of the debate, which get underway at 5. Between 3 and 5, Salem Radio Network's award-winning coverage team will preview what will happen in the debate. 8:38 right now. Carol's got a look at the forecast. It was nice yesterday, no?
It was really nice yesterday. Another nice day today. Right now it's 39, a little cool. It looks like it's overcast, but it's going to become mostly sunny this afternoon. We're going to reach a high of 61. Clouds are going to start coming in overnight, and then tomorrow will be cloudy and we'll have some rain probably later in the day, but we will still reach a high of 56. And right now it's 39.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
8:39 at iFIBER ONE, and a good morning to you. Mark Ziegler is out in the lobby. He'll be in a few moments for the Focus on Shelton, brought to you by our Community Credit Union on National Chili Day. We had a great conversation early this morning with Central Mason Fire Chief Tim McKern and Battalion Chief Steve Holloway came into the studio to talk with us. He's the one that makes, him and his wife make the chili that is sold like at Oyster Fest and things like that. And you know, he wasn't spilling the beans. I like you.
Secret family recipes.
On the recipes, but we did say that there are 3 levels of hotness, heatness that you can have, and
don't be a hero. That stuff's hot.
It is hot. Tell you what, I've seen. There used to be old movies where people would have to sign releases. Like you're going to go see a movie that is so scary that you may have a heart attack in the theater, so you had to sign a release. And I've seen that on other food shows where you go and you say, I'm going to eat a 76-ounce T-bone steak in an hour. They can make you sign stuff. These chilies are not that hot, although...
Know your limits.
Nothing to sneeze at, too. I mean, and sneezing, especially when I have chili or anything super hot, I just start running. And that's, I think...
Clears your sense?
Oh, totally clears you out. And it's so good.
That's why some people just take some cayenne pepper every day.
Yeah, right? Like in water?
Yeah.
A sprinkle of cayenne
like in a capsule.
Whoa, yeah, a capsule of cayenne.
Well, probably not that much, but yeah, cleans their senses every day. But I just wanted to remind folks that there is McCleary State Route 108 is fully blocked. Use alternate routes. That's from the DOT. That was about a half an hour ago, but Trooper Russ Winger, who's down on the scene, says that it could take quite a while for them to clean it up. It's a chip truck that rolled State Route 108 to Grays Harbor, and there's a small fluid spill. The equipment has been sent. I'm not sure quite if it's there or not, but make sure you check if you're heading that direction. if you need to be there at a certain time.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of looks like in the picture they're using some of the chip that fell out to clear up some of the spill.
Yeah, that's a great idea, but that's a lot of chip.
Boy,
That
sure
is a lot. There's some great pictures on Twitter, and you can find those Twitter feeds on our website under the weather link. They pop up.
8:42 here. Mark Ziegler comes in the studio, and we'll talk empty bowls and perhaps other spring programs coming up shortly. It's all on the way on Daybreak at iFIBER One News Radio.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Good high rates on the chopping block. We're cooking up a deal at our community credit union with 1% cash back and no payments for 90 days. If you have an auto, boat, RV, personal, or any other type of consumer loan, feast on this. For a limited time, we'll treat you to 1% cash back instantly when you move your loan to our community credit union. Don't wait. Apply online at ourcu.com or visit a branch location: Shelton, Union, McClary, Elma, Montesano, or Vashon.
Hi guys, Kat here with iFIBER One News Radio. What if I told you that radio advertising is far more effective than print media? Think about all of your customers driving to work, appointments, or events, all the while listening to the radio. Imagine your commercial airs on iFIBER One News Radio and the customer decides, hey, I'm right by there. I'm going to go check it out. Radio captures you and literally speaks to you and your customers several times a day. This enables you to build a unique message that reminds your customers what you have to offer. Remember, your customers can either drive to you or through you. And here at iFIBER One News Radio, we want to direct customers to you. Being the only talk radio formatted station in the entire South Sound region, we have an entire new market for your business to advertise in. As your sales lady, I take pride in providing your business with the best advertising because I want your business to succeed. So call me today at 360-463-2558 and ask for Kat.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Good morning to you. It's 8:45 at iFIBER One News Radio, just like he at Carol Gardner. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning, Jeff.
We have Mark Ziegler in studio with us right now for our Focus on Shelton, brought to you by our Community Credit Union. Good morning, Mark.
Hi, guys.
Good morning.
How are you?
Great for a Thursday, and it's beautiful out already. It's a little cloudy still, but the sun's trying to come out.
Starting to burn off a little bit. It's perfect.
Yeah.
I like it.
We are in
That's why we're here.
Nice little
Like
stretch of time here. Coming up a week from yesterday, March 2nd. Is that right?
That's right.
The first empty bowls of the season is upon us. It's at the Civic Center.
Yep.
And you've changed the schedule a little bit this year.
We've changed it a little bit this year.
Okay,
For those that have participated in the past, it's something to heed. If you're new to this,
right.
It's probably not a big deal. But we used to skip a week, so every 2 weeks we'd meet and have the Empty Bowls event. Now it's every week. So as Jeff, you said, March 2nd is the first one, next Wednesday, 5 to 7 p.m.
Okay.
That's kind of the first day of the 3-day event, which is where people will come and actually build a ceramic bowl. So for those that don't know, the Shelton Arts Commission sponsors this event. It's a way to promote folks' creativity and get their hands dirty in a piece of their own art.
Yeah.
And so what we do is we provide clay and just do some simple hand building. We don't have the wheel out there. We're not spinning on the wheel or anything.
Not like Ghost.
No, no, not at all. Well, it can be, Jeff, if you want to lend your services.
I get it. I love creating these things. It is very exciting. And you do it. There's a couple different ways that you can do it, and there is no wheel. You're right. It is all just by hand.
Yeah, pinch pots is basically what they call it, a coil pot or a pinch pot. But it's very simple. You start with a ball of clay, and you stick your thumbs in the middle and work it around, and then you kind of decorate it from there. For those that are really creative, they turn out to be quite the pieces of art. For those
really
that are challenged a little bit, it looks like you're, like you said earlier, your
Kaiser did it.
Yeah, your 3-year-old's
blame it on him.
art project from preschool. But nonetheless, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a good time. So March 2nd is the first one, 5 to 7 at the Civic Center. Just show up, bring your kids, bring your family, bring your neighbors, your friends, come out. It's really a social activity as well. People are all sitting around molding some clay, and the good part is if you see something that somebody else is doing, you wad that clay back up and you start over again. It's, you can completely start over and do something new if you don't like the direction your bowl is going in.
You talk with a whole bunch of different folks who are using, in the first process, there's stamps that you could use to make little designs and things. So you go ask folks, hey, can I borrow that? That looks cool. I like what you're doing there. Same with the colors, the following, the 9th, right? That'll be when the coloring is?
Yeah, so the second one, what we'll do is the first March 2nd, you'll make the bowls. We'll let those dry. Glen Helen will fire those. Glen Helen Smither, a local ceramics artist, will fire all of those in her kiln. So they harden up, and then they come back on the 9th, and that's when you paint them. That's when you glaze them. That's when you put the color to them. And so kind of same type of deal, social deal. Everybody's sitting around at big tables. You've got, however many colors of glaze out there, and you're painting, and people are kind of getting ideas from each other. And we've got some samples from years past to show what the colors might look like after they're fired, because it looks much different when they're just doing it the day of. And then again, Glen Helen will take those off. They need to be fired again in the kiln. Kind of melts that glaze onto it, gives a nice shiny, glossy finish. And then on the 16th of March is when you can come get your bowl. They'll be all finished. We've got some great restaurants that are participating this year that'll provide some soup and bread. So you can make a $10 donation, suggested donation of $10. Get your bowl. If you didn't make a bowl, we'll have opportunities. We'll have extra bowls. We also have a little art auction going on. Local artists will be donating some of the bowls they make and other art as well. So a little silent auction as well. Have a great bowl of soup, great meal, have some fun, sit around the table and talk with some friends again, and wrap this thing up and really help out the Saints Pantry Food Bank.
So do you use the bowls that you made to put the soup in, or?
No, we'll provide bowls.
Okay.
Some of the bowls might not hold water, so it might be a little difficult. But otherwise, you don't want your messy bowl, taking it home and wash it and clean it, although it is safe to use.
So that's why it's called the empty bowls project.
Empty bowls refers to there's empty bowls in the world, and people don't have enough food to eat, and this is really a I know nationwide, it might be a worldwide activity, and a lot of times this event is based on the auction only. So folks will go in, the local artists will donate bowls. Individuals come in, they'll purchase those through an auction, and then the soup is provided or the meal is provided. We started this about 12 years ago in thinking, let's get people involved.
Sure.
Let's have them make their own bowls. This could be a fun event. Let's unleash their creativity and really get them involved and have some fun with it, rather than just coming in one day and buying something somebody else made. So. It's kind of our take, Shelton's take on this, and I think it's worked out well. We've typically raised, around, anywhere from $1,000 to, I think the high was about $1,400 one year.
Great.
So we're well over $12,000 in the years that have been that we've been operating this. That has gone back to the Saints Pantry Food Bank, which is located right downtown here, and really serves those people in need in Mason County.
Do you have the list of the fooderies or the sponsors
exactly.
you want to make mention of?
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. Sister's Restaurant, the Strip Steakhouse, Zinn's, Clam, and Oyster House, and then Olympic Bakery donates the bread. So it's all, all local restaurants that have jumped on board here, and these are the same restaurants that have been participating for the last couple of years, and they do a great job, and the food's always good. So we're really happy to have them involved as well.
So it is the next 3 Wednesdays, and the doors open. You can start sitting down at work at 5 o'clock.
That's right.
And a 2-hour window there, but you don't have to be there the whole time.
No.
You don't have to be there right at 5.
Some people knock these things out in 15, 20 minutes and go, okay, I'm done. Going to soccer practice or something like that, and I just want to come be involved. Some people will sit there for an hour and a half, and really meticulously work over those bowls. So you can come in anytime between 5 and 7, do what you need to do to make the bowl that you have in your in your mind, and then you're free to go, and we'll take them away and fire them and bring them back the next week.
I think for me, a 15-minute bowl and a 1-hour bowl, there's not a lot of difference in the two there. Yeah. That's going to be a great event, and we are looking forward to participating in it once again. Thanks, Mark.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
And again, the spring program leaflets are in your utility mail, and you can also go around town and find them. We've got some here.
Right. Yeah.
Very good. 8:51, the Focus on Shelton brought to you by our community credit union, and we're going to step aside now here from the Old Farmer's Almanac and start to wrap things up here on a Thursday.
Listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Longer daylight hours seem to make everyone a little more cheerful. As we leave the year's darkest months behind, we share some more good news from the Old Farmer's Almanac. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Friday, February 26th, the 57th day of the year. Comedy legend Jackie Gleason was born 100 years ago, and country music icon Johnny Cash would have turned 84 today. You've surely noticed the days growing longer recently, and the rate of increase will only pick up speed in the weeks to come. That's good news for those who struggle with depression brought on by a deficit of light. And here's more good news. Light therapy, a standard treatment for seasonal depression, appears to be an effective treatment for non-seasonal depression. A carefully controlled study found that light therapy is often as effective as medication. It's much safer than a drug, too, with fewer side effects. That is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Learn more and get our advice of the day online at almanac.com.
iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
8:53 at iFIBER ONE News Radio. Getting ready to wrap things up here on a Thursday. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. Hi, Carol.
Good morning, Jeff.
Great guests today.
Yeah.
We talked chili. We talked empty bowls. We talked about some sporting events that were happening tomorrow. We'll do it again with more great guests, including Bud Blake, Thurston County Commissioner. I think we've talked to Bud in a while now, or I personally...
Since last year.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, this will be, I think, the first conversation of the year 2016. Dr. Alex Apostle has an announcement to make for us at 8:15 tomorrow.
Some kind of breaking news.
I don't even know what it is. I mean, he's keeping it very close
in the
to
dark.
chest. Then Don Pinnell will be in for radio real estate at 8:45. If you're looking to get in the housing market, or you have a house and you're thinking it's time to upgrade or relocate, Don Pinnell is a great resource to use. Her and John L. Scott here in town. But Don will be in tomorrow at 8:45, and we'll talk about all that good stuff. You came across a weird story coming out of Harrisburg this morning.
I did. Police say a Central Pennsylvania high school honors student was actually a 23-year-old Ukrainian national using a false identity after his visa expired.
Whoa.
Yeah. He was arrested and charged for fraud, but he pretended to be a Harrisburg High School student, Asher Potts. He had a 4.16 grade point average, was in the National Honor Society, actively involved in school, working with student advisory group on a food bank, and member of the school's ROTC and Naval Sea Cadet programs.
So it sounds like he was an upstanding student.
Yeah, upstanding student. Police say that he had a Pennsylvania driver's license.
How do you get these things? Where do you go to get these?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't want to know, but it's like the deep web.
Yeah, and well, they believe the identity was made up. He didn't steal any identity from anybody, so nobody's identity was compromised.
So he wasn't even trying to do any kind of workarounds with that?
No.
Oh, wow.
So, but they did give him some charges on identity theft and tampering with public records,
Sure.
so they had to find something to charge him with, I guess. Tampering with public records, making a false ID.
You ever watch that show 21 Jump Street? Richard Grieco and Johnny Depp and
the first one.
Well, any of them.
Oh, the TV series.
The TV series.
No, I've never watched.
And then there were some movies with Jonah Hill and
a couple of movies.
Channing Tatum, and they played old people who went into the high schools. And then there was that one Drew Barrymore movie, Never Been Kissed, where she was a reporter who went back to high school. It always works out well in the movies.
Until the end.
Until the end, and then they find out.
Yeah, so actually it doesn't really work out well. Life portrays the movie.
Listen, Drew Barrymore did not go to prison or go to jail after falsifying
No, but she was publicly humiliated.
It was so sad. Never Been Kissed. That was a pretty good movie.
It was.
So what's the deal here? I mean, I get that this guy is obviously not American. He's way older than he should be to be in high school.
Well,
but all the stuff was, he was a good kid.
Yeah, but his visa ran out. So that's the thing. And, it's sort of interesting. He was very smart and interested in the school.
How do you even get a 4.16 grade point
I don't know. I thought it ended at 4, but I never made it to 4.
I was about 3 steps away from where I was in high school. 8:57 at iFIBER One News Radio. The other interesting story, so this Sunday of the Oscars, there's been a lot of controversy about the whiteness of the top 4 categories, and people are protesting. Some folks won't be there. A lot of people are going to be in Flint, Michigan, helping with the water crisis. And then we just find out that Joe Biden, the vice president, is going to be there to talk about and introduce Lady Gaga.
Yeah, introduce Lady Gaga before she performs the song Till It Happens to You. She's been nominated for a Best Original Song. I guess Biden's office says he's going to use his introductions to urge Americans to speak out against sexual assault and support the administration. It's On Us campaign. So it's a domestic violence prevention deal that is a signature issue for Biden.
So is the whole Oscars this Sunday night going to be just all focused on what's wrong with the Oscars? I mean, this seems like they're using this as a platform for others.
Well, I think it's become more and more as a platform. People are speaking out. When they have the attention of the world, they get up there and they
got their 2 minutes before the music starts.
To say something on there. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Should it just be solely entertainment, or should it be more?
Probably should just be entertainment. And these awards are like, they don't show the whole movies. So this is why I talked about the other day, the CMAs, I feel, are the best representation of an award show, because there's very little actual awards, and it's like a concert. Same with the Grammys, only you get all sorts of music, which is pretty darn cool. These ones, they don't show the movies. They show just clips, and as always, it just seems like famous people shaking hands with famous people, and then you find out about their gift bags that are $200,000, 18 times the amount of money that anybody even makes in a year on average, and there's these stupid gift bags they get. I don't know. They could be doing a lot better. People's Choice Awards to me are fun, where you vote on it. Nobody even knows who the Academy is.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think probably it should be more based for the entertainment value.
Plus, they don't give awards to the truly great movies. Like
that you think.
Like Caddyshack, right? Never won Best Picture.
Seriously?
Surprising, I know.
Come on, man.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Tom Hartman is live and waiting your call weekdays from 9 to noon on iFIBER.